You're in Konoha, and you call these ninja tools? This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26 Amazing Strength. Boom. A deafening sound rang out, and a fire tornado containing extremely violent power continuously split the surrounding space. Any object that fell into the vortex would be instantly crushed. Even the surrounding trees were not spared. The wind was strong, and the leaves were blown to pieces, and the ground was full of broken branches, all of which were devastated. Tianyu also knew a lot about physical skills. He knew that the most important point of physical skills was that you had to get close to the opponent before you could display your strength. If you didn't even have the opportunity to get close, then even if you had a strong physical skill, you couldn't use it at all. In the original work, during the Chunin exam, Xiaoli was very strong, but he happened to meet Gaara, who used sand, and was completely restrained, so he was defeated. And now Tianyu happened to use this trick to fight Might Guy. This is a trick with a very large attack range, almost covering the entire training ground, in order to block all of Might Guy's evasion space and not let his physical skills work at all. Attacking his weaknesses, this is Tianyu's winning secret. What a terrifying fire tornado! And with a blessing of wind escape, its speed is almost the same as my physical skills. Is this the Kusanagi sword that Tianyu used before? The power of this sword he can exert now is more than 10 times that of the previous one. Might Guy's eyes flashed with deep shock. This is just the first fire tornado. And there are 12 such fire tornadoes in total. Might Guy did not dare to be careless. At this time, facing the lethal moves coming at him, he had no way to consider the rules he set before this trial. He crossed his hands and clenched his fists across his chest. 8 gates of ninjutsu, life gate, open. After a roar, a green violent chakra instantly burst out from Might Guy's body, releasing extremely amazing energy. As this chakra surged, Might Guy's whole body began to become congested, and some capillaries even ruptured, and his skin turned red. And Might Guy's speed suddenly increased several times, reaching a terrifying level that could not be seen by the naked eye. Who? The violent green chakra on Might Guy's body continued to ravage the surrounding air, and clearly visible streams of air blew in all directions. Might Guy, who had opened the life gate of the 8 gates, seemed much more relaxed when dealing with Tianyu's wind, fire, heaven and earth tornado. Even though the fire tornadoes under the blessing of the wind escape attack speed were extremely fast, it was still difficult to catch up with Might Guy's speed. Is this the true power of the 8 gates? This is only when the life gate was opened. Might Guy's strength has skyrocketed several times. At this moment, Tianyu was also deeply shocked. But so far, he has not lost. Since the wind and fire tornado cannot defeat Might Guy, then now he may only try this last trick. Before Might Guy was about to call a halt to the game, Tianyu had already moved again. Water breathing form 1 water surface slash. Tianyu shouted loudly, and he had grasped the sun blade in his hand. The next moment, a dazzling streak of light roared out from Tianyu's hand. The white streak crossed the sky, and in an instant, it seemed that blue water splashed on it, and then turned into dark blue sword energy, spreading towards Might Guy. The speed of the sword energy spread was very fast, so fast that it was in front of Might Guy in just a moment. Might Guy's face suddenly changed, and a chill of being locked in a crisis instantly swept through his body. However, Might Guy, who had opened the 8 gates of ninjutsu, had an intuition that was more sharp than that of a beast. Before those sword intentions attacked, Might Guy had already left the place in a flash. Catcha! Just where Might Guy had just stood, a tree behind him that was as thick as 2 people hugging was cut in half, and the cross-section was extremely neat, and the tree trunk fell to the side. What a terrifying sword technique! Might Guy was also shocked. He had never known that Tianyu had such hidden strength. However, today's training would end here. Might Guy thought to himself that Tianyu had forced him to use the 8 gates of ninjutsu before. Such strength was far beyond his expectations. Theoretically, Tianyu had already won the game. Tianyu. Might Guy was about to speak. Shua. Tianyu's sword was extremely fast, not giving him time to speak at all. Another sword came directly at him. Might Guy could only change his body shape quickly to avoid this fierce sword energy. Tian. Wow. Might Guy secretly cursed in his heart. This time he didn't even shout out his name. A familiar 3-meter-long blue sword energy roared towards him again. Like a hurricane, it set off waves after waves. However, Might Guy had not yet stood firm at this time, and could only roll to one side in a mess, and his body shape became messy. Might Guy suddenly had a headache. Although the 3 gates of the 8 gates of Dungia were already the bottom line of safety, if he opened the 4th gate of the 8 gates of Dungia, it would cause damage to his body. But now, in order to win this battle, it seems that he can only continue to open his 8 gates of Dungia and improve his strength to suppress Tianyu, the little monster. Injury. When Might Guy was about to open the 4th gate, Tianyu in front of him suddenly stopped. "Oh, you finally stopped." Might Guy let out a long breath, as if he had finally ended a painful practice. "Yes." Tianyu nodded seriously. "Teacher Kai, didn't you say that this test is to hold on to your hands for 10 minutes? Now the time is up." Puff. Might Guy almost vomited a mouthful of blood. The battle between the two of them just now was so intense that they couldn't stop at all. Who would still remember such a thing as 10 minutes? Exclamation mark. "Tianyu, you are too calm?" Exclamation mark. Ahem. Might Guy put his fist in front of his mouth, coughed twice to cover up his embarrassment, then nodded gently and agreed. "Yes, the 10-minute test time is over. Tianyu, you have made great progress in recent times to force me to use the 8 gates to defend." When Might Guy said this, his face couldn't help but blush. He would never admit that Tianyu not only forced out his 8 gates, but also almost opened more than 4 gates. "Anyway, you have successfully passed today's test. I have already prepared the generous rewards for you." Chapter 27, 8 Gates. "Teacher Kai, what is the reward?" Tianyu asked curiously. Might Guy showed a mysterious smile on his face. He did not answer his question directly, but asked, "You should have seen me use the power of the 8 gates just now, right?" "Yes." Tianyu nodded. "The 8 gates is a forbidden ninjutsu that I practiced. You have also seen that this ninjutsu can enhance strength and is very terrifying. If I open all 8 gates now, I can even fight against the Hokage." Might Guy said very seriously. "However, any power acquisition has a price. The reason why this ninjutsu is listed as a forbidden ninjutsu is that it has very terrible side effects. Even if my current physical strength has reached a very strong level, if I open the 8th gate of death, I will definitely die. Do you know what the forbidden technique represents now?" "Yes." Tianyu nodded without hesitation. Might Guy rarely showed that extremely serious temperament, stared at Tianyu, and asked again, "The use of forbidden techniques is risky. Even so, are you still willing to learn?" "I am willing to take the risk." Tianyu responded calmly. Might Guy stared at Tianyu with a serious face. Then, "Woo woo woo. Great. Finally someone is willing to learn my unique secret technique. Tianyu, I was right about you." Might Guy was immediately moved. Tears flowed from his eyes like a stream. Tianyu. Someone is willing to teach him the ninjutsu of the 8 gates ninjutsu. How could he refuse it? Teacher Kai is not so excited, right? It seems that he understands the doubts in Tianyu's eyes. Might Guy sighed and said with emotion, "I have met many ninjas who are good at physical skills before, and they are willing to practice physical skills with me. But when they heard that my forbidden technique may cause death, they all retreated. No one is willing to practice with me." Tianyu can understand this situation very well. The children of this generation all grew up in the peaceful period of Konoha. They have never experienced war and do not know the cruelty of war. Therefore, they do not know the importance of strength, nor the true meaning of the 8 gates. No wonder in the original work, only a stubborn and persistent idiot like Rock Lee would follow Might Guy to practice the 8 gates and transform into a hard-working genius. "Tianyu, are you not afraid of death?" Might Guy asked. "Afraid?" Tianyu nodded and said truthfully. "Then why do you dare to follow me to learn the 8 gates?" Might Guy was surprised. Tianyu was silent for a moment, then said, "Because I think that your ninjutsu, Mr. Kai, is still a semi-finished product." "Semi-finished product?" Might Guy was even more surprised. Tianyu nodded and said, "Yes, I think that the 8 gates is also a forbidden technique created by other ninjas. Since it is created, not innate, it means, it can be improved or even changed. So I think that there must be a way to avoid the physical damage caused by the 8 gates. It can even be said that it can avoid the death outcome after all 8 gates are opened." Might Guy was stunned for a moment, then he laughed, his body trembling slightly with laughter, and even tears flowed from the corners of his eyes. He looked very excited. Ha ha ha, I never thought that after so many years, there is finally someone who thinks the same as me. Tianyu, if you are about my age, I really want to treat you as a brother. Tianyu's forehead was full of black lines. Not really, not really. After his emotions stabilized, Might Guy's expression became serious again. He said with a serious face, yes, I have had this idea before. Maybe as long as the strength of the body reaches a certain level, even if the 8 gates are opened, the damage to the body can be reduced as much as possible. Its side effects are related to the physique. The stronger the body, the lower the side effects. Starting from the 4th gate, the side effects of each gate thereafter will be great. This is why, at the beginning, I asked you to tie a sandbag and do weight-bearing exercises. Physical strength is the key to physical skills. Tianyu nodded in agreement. Okay, now I'll start telling you about the training process of the forbidden art of 8 gates. A few hours later Might Guy sat cross-legged on the ground, raised a finger, and was still telling Tianyu, you have almost reached the prerequisites for practicing the 8 gates. During this period of time, you can try to explore the first gate of the 8 gates, the threshold of the door. If you feel any discomfort, stop first, don't force it. Tianyu nodded, and at the same time kept asking questions about many details of the 8 gates. Might Guy was surprised by the critical questions mentioned by Tianyu, and there were even some details that he had not noticed before, which made Might Guy fall into deep thought for a while. After learning the 8 gates, it was already late, and Tianyu realized that his stomach had been empty for a long time. The Konoha training ground was still a long way from home, so he would have dinner outside today. Then, Tianyu walked to the famous ramen restaurant in Konoha, Ichiriko Ramen. Uncle, give me a bowl of noodles. Oh, it's Tianyu, you want the barbecue pork tonkatsu ramen as usual this time? Yes, Uncle Ichiriku. Tianyu's parents are always out doing business, and the family is quite rich, so they don't have to worry about food and clothing. So he and his sister Tiantian have always been regular customers of Ichiriko Ramen. After meeting Might Guy, Teacher Guy always generously treats them to barbecue. Tianyu hasn't been to Ichiriko Ramen for a long time. The ramen hasn't been served yet. Tianyu sat on the side and looked around bored. At this time, he suddenly saw a boy in an orange sportswear, standing at the door of a ramen shop, wondering, but he didn't come in. Oh, isn't this Naruto? Seeing the beard on his face, Tianyu immediately recognized his identity. Why are you standing here all the time? Tianyu walked over and asked. Naruto obviously didn't expect that someone in the village would take the initiative to talk to him, so he was shocked. Then, he scratched his head shyly and said, well, I wanted to come here to eat Ichiriku Ramen, but the pocket money I saved for half a month suddenly disappeared. I remember I put it in my pocket. It turned out that the money was lost. Tianyu waved at him and said, it's lost, so just come in and eat with me. This ramen is on me. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28 Ichiriko Ramen. After confirming that there was no one else around him, Uzumaki Naruto looked at Tianyu with an incredible look. Then, he pointed at himself with his index finger and asked uncertainly, are you talking about me? Seeing Uzumaki Naruto's reaction, Tianyu couldn't help but sigh in his heart. The son of the 4th Hokage was actually treated like this in the village. This Konoha village is really enough. Yes, it's you. Didn't you lose money? I'm in a good mood today, so I'll treat you to a bowl of ramen. Anyway, I'm rich. Tianyu casually raised the bulging purse in his hand. Naruto's eyes suddenly lit up, and he looked at Tianyu with full of emotion. It was the first time in the village that someone treated him to ramen, and the first time someone treated him so kindly. Naruto, who was facing hunger because of losing money, was even moved to tears at this time. What are you still hesitating about? Come and eat quickly. Tianyu urged. Here I come. Naruto smiled brightly, walked to Tianyu and sat down, and smiled at Tianyu. I won't be polite then. Uncle Ichiriku quickly brought 2 bowls of ramen, Tianyu and Naruto separated their chopsticks at the same time, and said in unison, "I won't be polite then." Slurp slurp, the two people swallowed their ramen in big mouthfuls, making a crisp sound. Tianyu had just finished fighting with Might Guy, and the chakra in his body had long been consumed. At this time, he was hungry and ate ramen voraciously. Naruto was obviously hungry too, and the speed of eating ramen was no worse than Tianyu. Since starting physical training, Tianyu's appetite has also become larger. Although he is only 7 years old now, he already has a meal that is enough to surpass adults. After eating a bowl of ramen, Tianyu just reached the level of 1/3 full, and there is still a long way to go before he is full. He remembered that in the original novel, Naruto had a big appetite, and now he looked pitiful, envious of the Ichiriko ramen in other people's bowls, and it was obvious that one bowl was not enough. "Uncle, 2 more bowls." Tianyu quickly finished a bowl, and seeing Naruto next to him also finished a bowl, he shouted loudly to Uncle Ichiriku. 2 bowls of ramen were quickly served. "Eat quickly." Tianyu pushed one bowl in front of Naruto. Naruto was stunned for a moment, and asked blankly, "Is this one for me?" Tianyu said indifferently, "Of course, since I said I would treat you to ramen, you must eat enough. You should eat quickly, the noodles will not taste good if they clump together." "Thank you, thank you." Naruto's cheeks were slightly red, and he felt extremely happy in his heart, feeling that his luck today was really good, and he met such a good person. Not only did he not show a look of disgust to him like other people, but he was even willing to treat him to ramen. Woo woo woo, what a good person. "Uncle, 2 more bowls." 10 minutes later, Tianyu shouted again. In this way, after Tianyu ate 5 bowls of ramen and Naruto ate 3 bowls of ramen, the two were finally full. So satisfying, the taste of Ichiriko ramen is really well deserved. After eating, Tianyu felt that his body was full of energy again, and even the fatigue from the previous battle was reduced a lot. This is the happiness that the power of food brings to people. Naruto looked at Tianyu with admiration. "Wow, you have a big appetite. You can eat 5 bowls of ramen at once, it's amazing. You are also amazing, you can eat 3 bowls." My living expenses are relatively low, so I can only eat 1 meal a day. Today, thanks to you, otherwise I will have to starve until tomorrow. Naruto scratched his head, with a somewhat honest and innocent smile on his face, shyly said, "By the way, my name is Uzumaki Naruto, a man who aspires to become a Hokage. What's your name? Only eat 1 meal a day?" It's really hard to imagine what kind of life Naruto had been living before. What kind of conscienceless things has Sarutobi Hiruzen done in all these years? Tianyu secretly sighed at Naruto's misfortune, and there was a little more sympathy in his eyes when he looked at him. "My name is Tianyu." "That? Tianyu, can I be friends with you?" Naruto's expression seemed to be a little nervous. He changed his previous carefree look and asked Tianyu carefully. Naruto was very uneasy. No one in the village was willing to be friends with him. He finally met such a person who was willing to approach him. Would he also reject him because of the so-called fox demon rumor? Of course. Tianyu smiled at him. "But, aren't you afraid that I am a fox demon?" Naruto couldn't help asking. Naruto guessed in his heart that Tianyu might not know that others said he was a fox demon, but because of this, he wanted to ask about this matter now. He already regarded Tianyu as his friend, and he didn't want to hide this matter from Tianyu. He was also more afraid that one day Tianyu would alienate him after knowing that he was a fox demon. "Naruto, but aren't you just a kid about my age now?" Tianyu said nonchalantly, as if he didn't take the so-called fox demon rumor seriously. Naruto was stunned and then began to cry. Hey, why are you crying?" "Yes, I'm sorry, I was just so moved." Naruto kept wiping the tears from the corners of his eyes with the back of his hand, sobbing continuously. "It's the first time that someone sees me as Naruto instead of a fox demon, and it's also the first time that someone is willing to be friends with me. Woo woo woo, okay, don't cry." Tianyu patted Naruto's shoulder and smiled. "I'll introduce my friends to you later, and you'll have a lot of friends in the future. They're all very good people really." Naruto widened his eyes and said in disbelief. "Of course." Tianyu said to Uzumaki Naruto with a smile. At this time, 3 system voices suddenly came from Tianyu's mind. Ling. Mission released, achieve friendly relations with Uzumaki Naruto. System reward, Shadow Clone Shuriken Blueprint, Ling. Achieve friendly relations with Uzumaki Naruto. Mission completed. System reward, Shadow Clone Shuriken Blueprint, Ling. Mission released, collect 9 tails chakra, just inject chakra into Kune. System reward, multiple Shadow Clone Shuriken Blueprint, Chapter 29, mission completed. Collect the 9 tails chakra? What the hell? Is this thing so easy to collect? Exclamation mark. Tianyu saw the task issued by the system, and couldn't help but complain in his heart. When Naruto can burst out the 9 tails chakra, at least when they go to the land of waves to perform the task and fight against Mizuno Haku in the original work, it will be at least 6 years later. Doesn't that mean he has to wait 6 years to complete this task? Exclamation mark. Tianyu rolled his eyes in his heart, and temporarily put this task aside and ignored it. So, Tianyu concentrated on chatting with Naruto. After the two made friends at Ichiraku Ramen, they chatted for a while and soon became familiar with each other. By the way, Tianyu, you look like you are already a student of the ninja school. Naruto pointed curiously at the ninja tool bag tied to Tianyu's leg. Tianyu nodded and replied, yes, after school starts, I will be a second-year student in the ninja school. Wow. You are awesome, Tianyu brother. Naruto's eyes immediately showed envy, and then, Naruto's face showed a silly and bright smile, but I will be enrolled soon. I will become very strong by then. Tianyu asked casually, have you extracted chakra? Chakra? What is chakra? Naruto scratched his head and asked with a puzzled look. It's the entrance examination for the ninja school. What? Naruto was shocked. There is an examination for admission to the ninja school. Tianyu's head was full of black lines. He didn't even know what chakra was. With Naruto's current qualifications, how did he pass the entrance examination for the ninja school? But soon, Tianyu thought of the answer to this matter. It should be the back door opened for him by the third Hokage. Naruto's body is sealed with the 9 tails, and the chakra in his body has been integrated with the chakra of the 9 tails, so there are 6 fox-like whiskers on his face. It is precisely because of this that Naruto's chakra control difficulty is multiplied compared to ordinary people. Even when he graduated as a ninja in the original work, he still couldn't master the ninjutsu such as the clone technique, and became the last in the class. Wait? Tianyu's mind flashed with inspiration, and he seemed to have suddenly grasped a chance. About the task issued by the system before. Since the chakra in Naruto's body and the chakra of the 9 tails have been mixed together, does it mean that after Naruto refines the chakra, the system only needs to absorb Naruto's chakra to absorb the chakra of the 9 tails at the same time? Exclamation mark. I don't have to wait until Naruto goes to perform the task in the land of waves? Thinking of this, Tianyu's heart suddenly became happy. He immediately felt that this plan was feasible in his mind. Although this method of extracting the chakra of the 9 tails by absorbing Naruto's chakra will not complete this task so quickly, at least it won't take 6 years. Multiple Shadow Clone Shuriken Blueprint. This is a ninja tool powerful enough to achieve the effect of A-level ninjutsu. Naruto, this is for you. Tianyu took out a ninjutsu scroll, handed it to Naruto and said, it records the method of refining chakra. You can learn it according to the method described in it after you go back. Although the time for the entrance examination to the ninja school is approaching, you may not be able to refine chakra so quickly, but maybe the examiner will see that you still have a lot of ninja talent and let you pass the examination. Wow, Tianyu, you are so nice. Naruto's eyes lit up instantly, holding the scroll that Tianyu handed to him tightly in his hand. Naruto stood up and said goodbye to Tianyu. Tianyu, I will go back and start practicing refining chakra. I am a man who wants to become a Hokage. How can I fail in the entrance examination? Don't worry. I will definitely work hard like you and become a student of the ninja school. Tianyu smiled and nodded, then come on. At this time, what Tianyu and Naruto didn't know was that under the Hokage rock in the distance, in the office of the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, he was watching the entire scene just now through the crystal ball. After seeing Naruto and Tengo separated, Sarutobi Hiruzen waved his sleeves and turned off the crystal ball's surveillance. He held his pipe in his mouth and squinted at the detailed information about Tengo that had been sorted out on the table in front of him. A very hard-working kid, even Might Guy praised him highly. He has a talent for forging and can create all kinds of ninja tools on his own. He is very friendly and is good friends with Naruto. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled slightly. Perhaps, He is indeed a useful talent for me. After saying that, Sarutobi Hiruzen put away the information in front of him. He murmured softly, and then cast his eyes towards a corner. But the most urgent thing is to solve the Uchiha clan's affairs first. Isn't that right, Denzo? Haha, have you discovered me? A sneer. At this time, in the shadows in the corner of the office, a man with a bandage on one eye and a cane in his hand walked out. Sarutobi, it's time to make a break with the Uchiha clan. I have advised you to purge the Uchiha clan before. It is because you are too indecisive that the Uchiha clan has become so difficult to deal with now. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed, as if he had some kindness in his heart. Is this matter really irreversible? Shimura Danzo sneered, Humph, give up this naive idea. Uchiha Itachi has agreed to our previous plan. At that time, I will send out the ninjas of the root to eradicate the Uchiha clan and completely eliminate the hidden dangers in Konoha. Shimura Danzo said proudly. He has already talked about this matter. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded. But the people from the root don't have to go out together. He said that we only need to do the subsequent finishing work. His only condition is to let his brother Uchiha Sasuke survive, and I agree to this. Danzo Shimura frowned, his tone full of distrust. Don't need our help? Relying on him alone. Sarutobi Hiruzen explained. He said that he would use the power of over there, which is enough to complete this task. Huh? A partner who is not worthy of trust at all. Danzo Shimura was quite disdainful of this, and said with a somewhat sarcastic smile on his face, don't forget, your good apprentice Orochimaru is also in that organization. Enough, Danzo. Sarutobi Hiruzen seemed to be poked in a sore spot, and his tone suddenly became tough. For the time being, they are not our enemies. In order to maintain peace and stability within Konoha, we have consumed too much energy. You can't provoke them now. With Konoha's current situation, it can't withstand any tossing. We can't control what's happening outside for the time being. Chapter 30 The current situation of Konoha. HMPH, Sarutobi, you are always so cautious. Shimura Danzo looked at him coldly and said unhappily, if it weren't for that useless Hanzo, who didn't completely wipe out this organization, how could we be in such trouble now? Thinking of the information that Uchiha Itachi gave him before, Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes were also very complicated. In addition to his former proud disciple Orochimaru, the names of the remaining few people also made him fall into deep thought. They were all S-level rebel ninjas that gave Tsuchikage, Rikage, Mizukage, and Kazekage a headache. Even if only a small part of their strength was exposed now. Sarutobi Hiruzen could see how terrible the strength of this organization was. What exactly do such a group of powerful ninjas want to do when they gather together? Do they want to challenge the authority of their 5 major countries? Sarutobi Hiruzen was also deeply afraid of this. But Konoha cannot touch them now. Before solving the Uchiha clan's problems and restoring the stability of Konoha's political power, Konoha would have suffered heavy losses if they had a conflict with him. Konoha is now too weak. Except for Sarutobi Hiruzen, there is no one in the whole village who has the same level of combat power as him. Orochimaru defected, Jiraiya traveled abroad for many years, Tsunade suffered from hemophobia and disappeared, and the Night of the Nine Tails rampaged 6 years ago. The loss of the 4th Hokage and dozens of Jonin at once caused a heavy blow to the entire Konoha, causing Konoha's combat power to drop to the bottom at once, so that 6 years have passed, and Konoha has not recovered from that incident. The most important thing now is to maintain peace and stability within Konoha, and wait for a new ninja with the strength of the cage to rise in Konoha, so that he can finally retire like before. This is what Sarutobi Hiruzen has been planning all along. After a moment of silence, Sarutobi Hiruzen slowly spoke to Danzo. Danzo, please understand me. Konoha needs to thrive now, and we need to wait for the next generation of Konoha ninjas to grow up. As for the Akatsuki organization, we have too little information about them. Let Uchiha Itachi continue to be our spy and enter the Akatsuki organization. After finding out their specific information, we will make plans. After hearing what Sarutobi Hiruzen said, Shimura Danzo rarely refuted and agreed with Sarutobi Hiruzen's plan this time. By the way, I heard that there is a kid in Konoha who is studying ninja tools recently. He has good talent. Why don't you hand him over to me? If you hand him over to me, it will be a good reinforcement for the combat effectiveness of my route. Danzo said. Sarutobi Hiruzen immediately frowned and retorted, no. Give up this idea, Danzo. Tianyu is not an orphan left on the battlefield who can be handed over to you at will. His father Tiantian is a well-known businessman in our fire country. The ninja tools and strategic materials used by our Konoha ninjas still need to rely on his supply. The situation in Konoha is so tense now. I don't want to cause any unexpected trouble. Danzo showed a cold smile on his face and said, "Well, I'm just talking casually." Danzo had heard about the special features of Tianyu's ninja tools before, so he quickly began to send his ninjas to collect information about Tianyu. He almost got a piece of information with similar content to that in Sarutobi Hirozen's hands. After reading it, Danzo was also very disappointed. The idea of mass enhancing the strength of ninjas is not realistic. Then this child named Tenai will not have much use value. The current matter is to solve the problem of the Uchiha clan first. If he can succeed this time, the bodies of the Uchiha clan members will all be handed over to him for disposal. By then, a lot of Sharingan will fall into his hands. Combined with Orochimaru's previous research and the power of the first Hokage, Senju Hashirama, maybe Mangekyo, or even the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan above the Mangekyo, will be enough to rival the power of Uchiha Madara. Shimura Danzo, who was born in the Warring States period, is also one of the people who have seen the power of Uchiha Madara. He naturally knows how powerful this power is. As long as he has this power, whether it is dealing with the Akatsuki organization or becoming the Hokage of Konoha, it will become a matter of ease for him. Okay, I know, let's leave it like this for now. I'm leaving first. After a moment of silence, Shimura Danzo said to Sarutobi Hirozen, "My roots will clean up everything at night, and will never let you, the Hokage, get into any trouble." The sneering voice of Shimura Danzo echoed in the office. The slightly sarcastic tone made Sarutobi Hirozen, who had always looked kind, look gradually darker. At the same time, in the Uchiha clan's land, Nanga Shrine, in front of the ancestral stone tablet of the Uchiha clan's land, Uchiha Itachi was quietly looking at the words recorded on it, his eyes deep and solemn. His eyes were scarlet, and the three Magatama Sharingan in it suddenly changed shape and became the shape of a triangular shuriken. This is the most powerful symbol of the Uchiha clan, the Mangekyo Sharingan. With the blessing of the Mangekyo Sharingan, the words on the stone tablet that had been tampered with by Black Zetsu were being engraved in Uchiha Itachi's mind. When Uchiha Itachi quietly read all the text, his expression became very complicated, and he murmured, "Infinite Tsukuyomi." For this name, Uchiha Itachi had some associations in his mind for a while. After he opened the Mangekyo Sharingan, he had a unique eye technique called Tsukuyomi. This illusion launched by the Mangekyo Sharingan would affect anyone who saw his eyes. Itachi could pull the enemy's spirit into his illusion space at the moment of launching the illusion. In the Tsukuyomi world, all factors including time, place, quality, etc. are controlled by the caster. He usually uses this ninjutsu to give the opponent psychological and mental torture until the opponent collapses. Of course, he can also let the opponent see the most beautiful fantasy in the world. If time can be extended, it seems that it can indeed create real peace once and for all. However, is such peace real peace? Uchiha Itachi smiled bitterly and shook his head. He did not agree with this. He believed that illusions are illusions, and the essence of all illusions is just a false illusion. The destruction of illusions is just a matter of time. Uchiha Shisu once told him this. Chapter 31 Obito's Plan. Just as Uchiha Itachi was lost in thought, the space behind him suddenly twisted in a vortex shape, and a mysterious man with a vortex mask covering his entire face and wearing a black robe appeared behind Uchiha Itachi. Only one Mangekyo Sharingan was exposed to the air. This man was Uchiha Obito, or rather, Uchiha Obito, who claimed to be Uchiha Madara. Itachi, you have opened your Mangekyo Sharingan and have seen the words on the stone tablet, right? Then you should understand everything now. Uchiha Obito's eyes were filled with fanaticism. He looked at Uchiha Itachi and said loudly and excitedly, "The world we are in now is a completely disappointing world, a world that should be destroyed. Only by activating the infinite Tsukuyomi can we create a world without pain and war, but only peace and happiness. Choose to join us. Let's open up the new world together." Uchiha Itachi turned around and stared expressionlessly at the man in front of him who called himself Uchiha Madara. He took a deep breath, and then remembered the current Konoha, the current Uchiha, the agreement between him and Sarutobi Hirozen, the agreement between him and Uchiha Shisu, and Sasuke. "I join." Uchiha Itachi's voice was flat, making it impossible to guess what he was thinking. A wise choice. After hearing Uchiha Itachi's answer, Uchiha Obito's voice became more excited, and one could feel that his face under the mask became very excited. Uchiha Itachi, you are indeed a smart man. Everything we are doing now is for real peace. This is the duty of our Uchiha clan. Uchiha Itachi did not speak, nor did he show any abnormality. He just remained silent and listened quietly. Just after Uchiha Obito finished his heroic words, a pitcher plant emerged from the ground, revealing most of its body. It was half black and half white. A strange life form wearing a black-bottomed red auspicious cloud robe suddenly emerged from the ground. This figure was naturally Black Zetsu and White Zetsu. Konoha is ready. Black Zetsu respectfully reported to Uchiha Obito. After listening to Zetsu's report, Uchiha Itachi's eyes could not help but flash a few emotional fluctuations. Everything has really reached an irreversible point. It seems that he can only execute according to the previous plan. Shisu, I hope all these plans can go as you wish. I hope that guy named Tianyu is really trustworthy. Ho. I have also convinced Uchiha Itachi here. It seems that everything is going very smoothly. Uchiha Obito laughed loudly, then turned to Uchiha Itachi and said, Itachi, then some things tonight will go according to plan. I see. Uchiha Itachi nodded. Then, Uchiha Obito no longer stayed here, and directly opened the Kamui space and disappeared in front of Itachi, and Zetsu also dived directly into the ground and disappeared. In half a month, the ninja school started again. Tianyu, Tiantian and Rock Lee became second-year students, and Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke and other Konoha Zyuokyang also entered the ninja school very smoothly and became classmates. Of course, Uzumaki Naruto still failed to extract chakra during the entrance examination. Because of the interference of the Nine-Tails chakra, even though Tianyu had given him the scroll for refining chakra, he still couldn't extract chakra so quickly. Of course, in the end, the examiner still let him enter the school smoothly because he had the talent to become a ninja. In the middle of the night, a bright moon hung high in the sky, and Tianyu was staying at home very bored, playing with the silver mask he had made before. Hidden Mask, Grade, 3-star Weapon Attribute, Space Attribute Skills. 1. Completely transform into someone else's appearance, lasting for 3 minutes. 2. Completely hide your own breath and be invisible for 10 minutes. Is it a contract? No, this is a thing that can hide your own breath, although the hiding time is not long, the longest time can only be 10 minutes. But the effect is very outstanding, which Tianyu has verified in the village before. After he put on the secret mask, even a cage-level strongman like the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen could not detect his existence or his breath. However, in order not to expose himself, Tianyu did not make any suspicious moves. He simply strolled around Sarutobi Hiruzen's office, flipped through the documents on his desk, and then left. Therefore, he also easily knew that tonight was the day when Uchiha Itachi exterminated the clan. The plot in the original book really happened as expected. Although the world has changed a little because of my existence. But some things seem to be destined to happen. Perhaps the Uchiha clan should not have become a part of Konoha from the beginning, and the contradictions and conflicts that have accumulated since the Warring States period cannot change with the passage of time. I don't know if Shisu is still alive. If he is still alive, he will definitely do something now. Tianyu thought to himself. At this moment, a prompt of the system issuing a task suddenly came to his mind. Task issued, collect Sharingan, more than 1, task reward, 3 Magatama I forging blueprint, 3 Magatama I? This name is similar to Sharingan, is there any connection between them? And the task that the system needs to complete is also related to Sharingan. Tianyu had never thought that there would be such a thing in the forging blueprint, rewarded by the system? Then, could the effect of the use of this 3 Magatama I also be related to the ability of Sharingan? Tianyu's heart suddenly became excited. But when he thought of the conditions that needed to be met for this task, he hesitated. The conditions for achieving this task are undoubtedly very harsh. Sharingan, what is that? That is something that many people such as Orochimaru and Denzo are eyeing. Besides, tonight is the night of genocide. When the sun rises tomorrow, the number of people in this world who have Sharingan will be so few that they can be counted on one hand. Except for Uchiha Sasuke who has not yet opened his eyes, the strength of the others is very strong, and the probability of getting a Sharingan is as difficult as ascending to heaven. It seems that my only chance to take action is tonight. Tianyu took a look at the secret mask in his hand, and a bold idea suddenly emerged in his mind. Chapter 32, The night of genocide. A full moon hangs high in the sky. In the quiet night, even the sound of insects is inaudible. The Uchiha clan has a large clan territory, located at the edge of Konoha village. Since the death of Oshirama Senju, the second-generation Hokage Senju Tobirama came to power. He has been very disgusted with the Uchiha clan and has suppressed the Uchiha clan. Senju Tobirama is not only very talented in developing ninjutsu, but also has great strength in conspiracy and intrigue. After Uchiha Madara left Konoha, Senju Tobirama passed several new policies to let the Uchiha clan be responsible for the work of Konoha Guard Department. It seems that he has entrusted them with important tasks, but in fact, he has squeezed the Uchiha clan out of the political power center of Konoha without leaving any trace. It was also from that time that the Uchiha clan was transferred from the clan territory in the original central area to the more remote edge of Konoha. So for the Konoha high-level officials who had already arranged everything, it was not difficult to cover up the truth of this genocide tonight. At this time, in the grove outside the Uchiha clan, Shimura Danzo was ambushing here with the power of his root, monitoring the every move of the Uchiha clan. Standing next to Shimura Danzo was Uchiha Itachi, who was wearing a black robe. His eyes swept over the members behind Shimura Danzo. Each of them was like a real tool, without any emotion, and their temperament was extremely cold and indifferent, as if they were real killing weapons. Even human emotions were wiped out. Can such people still be considered human? Uchiha Itachi thought so in his heart. He knew that these people became like this now, not only because Danzo had secretly trained them for many years, but also because Shimura Danzo mastered a very strong sealing technique, the seal of the root of tongue disaster. If the person who was cast said anything about him, his whole body would be paralyzed, unable to speak or move. It must be said that this is the terrible thing about the sealing technique. This Danzo is indeed a very difficult person. Sir Danzo, thank you for your help. Uchiha Itachi did not observe the roots for too long, and turned to Shimura Danzo and bowed slightly. Shimura Danzo looked at Uchiha Itachi deeply, nodded and said, "Go, leave the rest to me. I advise you not to have any unnecessary thoughts. Don't forget that your brother is still in our hands, if you don't want your brother to have any accidents." Shimura Danzo sneered. "Yes." Uchiha Itachi agreed expressionlessly, then turned around and left without looking back, entering the Uchiha clan's clanland. His steps were not hurried, and his speed was not fast or slow, but the whole person was carrying a very dangerous aura. Seeing Uchiha Itachi walk into the Uchiha clan's clanland with his own eyes, Shimura Danzo stretched out his right hand and made a commanding gesture to his root. The next second, hundreds of root ninjas lurking outside the Uchiha clan's clanland immediately ran quickly in all directions and landed in the positions that had been planned long ago. Then they stretched out their hands and began to make seals quickly. In just a moment, weak chakra fluctuations combined from all directions, forming nodes that continuously connected together, constructing a huge barrier that enveloped the entire Uchiha clan. All the members of the Uchiha clan have fallen into the barrier. Ho-ha-ho-ha, tonight, the Uchiha clan will completely disappear from Konoha. A hint of anticipation flashed across Shimura Danzo's eyes, and he muttered to himself with a smug look on his face, "Besides, I wonder how many Sharingan I can get this time." That idiot Sarutobi Hiruzen is really afraid that his reputation in Konoha will be affected a little bit, so he gave me such a good job. Shimura Danzo laughed triumphantly. "Sure enough, I am the most suitable person to be Hokage. Sarutobi, after I get the Sharingan, the position of Hokage will be left to me." It's just that he is too complacent now. He didn't notice that a subtle chakra fluctuation came from a certain space around him. At this time, Tianyu, wearing a concealment mask, was standing next to Shimura Danzo. Hearing the bold words he just said as if no one was around, Tianyu said, "I have received professional training. I usually don't laugh unless I can't help it." In the Uchiha clan, Itachi, what do you mean by this attitude? You didn't attend the gathering tonight. As soon as Uchiha Itachi entered the Uchiha clan, more than a dozen clan members who were responsible for guarding the gate of the Uchiha clan came over and stopped him. They looked at Uchiha Itachi with suspicious eyes, and their faces were very unfriendly. "Although you work in the Anbu, don't forget your own surname. You are a member of the Uchiha clan. You are not used to being a running dog for Konoha, and you even forgot your own surname." Because of the Uchiha clan's usual actions, many people in the Uchiha clan have regarded him as a traitor of the Uchiha clan, even though he is the son of the Uchiha clan leader and the eldest son of the Uchiha clan. If Uchiha Itachi was as low-key as usual, these people would not have stepped forward to stop him. But today's Uchiha Itachi made them feel very dangerous. The surname of the Uchiha clan. Uchiha Itachi whispered to himself. Then the next second, his eyes turned scarlet instantly, and the three Magatama Sharingan turned rapidly in his eye sockets. Then I will let the surname of the Uchiha clan be given a new meaning from today. As his voice fell, the more than 10 ninjas in front of Uchiha Itachi instantly showed expressions of surprise, panic, and fear. Then, their eyes were instantly lost, and they all froze in place. In an instant, Uchiha Itachi had used illusion to control the more than 10 ninjas of the Uchiha clan. This is the true strength of Uchiha Itachi. His pair of Sharingan, his attainments in illusion are unfathomable. Even if he has not used the main Jakkayo Sharingan yet, even with the three Magatama Sharingan, the illusion released from his eyes is enough to suppress other Uchiha clan members with Sharingan. Pucci. Pucci. Dot. The kunai in Uchiha Itachi's hand easily cut the throats of one person after another. Instantly, more than a dozen corpses of Uchiha clan members appeared on the ground. For Uchiha Itachi, this was just the beginning of the night. Chapter 33 The True Power of Kaleidoscope. A massacre began. In the Uchiha clan's territory, the higher-level Sharingan had an absolute suppression of the lower-level Sharingan in terms of pupil power. Uchiha Itachi, who had already opened the main Jakkayo Sharingan, launched a massacre without spending much effort. However, as the noise here became louder and louder, the people of the Uchiha Guard finally began to notice the abnormality here. Uchiha Itachi, what are you doing? You actually attacked your own people. You traitor to the Uchiha clan. Kill him. The ninjas of the Uchiha Guard are the most elite force in the Uchiha clan. Not only did each of them open the three Magatama Sharingan, but they also had the strength of a Jonin level. If they swarmed up, even Uchiha Itachi, who had opened the main Jakkayo Sharingan, would be unable to resist for a while. However, just as they swarmed towards Uchiha Itachi, the space around them suddenly became distorted, and Uchiha Obito, wearing a mask, appeared in front of them. Then they saw Nai. Main Jakkayo Sharingan. Uchiha Obito laughed from under his mask, leave you to me. The clan members and friends he once regarded as the most precious and closest are now just obstacles to his great plan of Eye of the Moon. On the other side, in the ancestral hall of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Itachi, do you know what you are doing? The great elder of the Uchiha clan, with a group of Uchiha clan ninjas, was glaring at Uchiha Itachi and questioned him angrily. Facing the questioning from his clan members, or in other words, his grandfather who had watched him grow up, Uchiha Itachi simply said calmly, I didn't betray the Uchiha clan. I'm just saving the Uchiha clan in my own way. The Uchiha clan is not strong enough to compete with Konoha. If you really rebel, the name of the Uchiha clan will be forever recorded as a traitor, forever recorded in the history of Konoha, and spurned by generations. And I'm just using my own way to find a way for the Uchiha clan to survive. I'm sorry, everyone. The moment the words fell, Uchiha Itachi's aura suddenly changed, becoming cold and terrifying, and the power of the main Jakkayo Sharingan was released, almost instantly making the expressions of the ninjas in the room change drastically. Is this the main Jakkayo Sharingan? What a terrifying eye power. Facing Uchiha Itachi with his eyes fully opened, even the Uchiha elder was no match for him. After only fighting for more than 10 moves, Uchiha Itachi cut his throat and turned into a corpse on the ground. The remaining people were no match for Uchiha Itachi. Blood gushed out and the bodies fell to the ground in a mess. Continuously launching illusions and waving the kunai in his hand, Uchiha Itachi slaughtered all the way to the center of the Uchiha clan, his home. The home of Uchiha Fugaku, the patriarch of the Uchiha clan. Uchiha Itachi held a kunai in his hand, and his body was already stained with the blood of others. Bloody tears flowed from his main Jakkayo Sharingan. Mom and Dad, I'm sorry. After a low apology, Uchiha Itachi's kunai pierced his parents' hearts one after another. Dad, Mom? Brother, what are you doing? A childish voice came from Uchiha Sasuke who had just returned from the ninja school. He watched countless bodies of his clan members fall to the ground, including his parents, and the murderer of all these tragedies was actually pointed at his beloved brother? Sasuke, hate me. Uchiha Itachi's eyes flashed with a trace of pity, and that emotion was gone in an instant. Then his main Jakkayo Sharingan began to rotate, and he whispered, Tsukuyomi. Sasuke let out a scream of collapse and fell to the ground. Uchiha Itachi's eyes, a tear fell. All this is finally over. Outside the Uchiha clan's territory, Tianyu was hiding not far from Shimura Danzo, and witnessed a massacre tonight with his own eyes. He couldn't help but feel a little emotional in his heart. Uchiha Itachi was really a pervert. Even if it was for some so-called justice, but killing his parents and the clan members who lived with him day and night with his own hands was not something a human could do. Tianyu did not agree with his approach. But after all, this was a matter between the Uchiha clan and Konoha, and he had no reason to intervene. The reason he came here this time was just to see if he could take the opportunity to get the Sharingan. The massacre just now was just a hot farce for him. As a spectator, he had already feasted his eyes. And what happened next was the key for him to be vigilant and take every step carefully. At this time, Danzo, who was not far from Tianyu, also saw Uchiha Itachi and the masked man in black robes slaughtering the Uchiha clan. At this moment, he was also deeply shocked. Is this the true strength of the Uchiha clan's Sharingan? It's really terrible. After a few flashes of pleasure of the Uchiha being slaughtered in Danzo Shimura's eyes, a strong fear soon rose in his heart. The pleasure was naturally that he could finally fulfill his teacher's last wish and completely eradicate the cancer of the Uchiha clan from Konoha. As for the fear, it was naturally because the power displayed by Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Obito was too terrifying. He had already solved Uchiha Shisa before, and now there is such a powerful person in the Uchiha clan. The power of the Sharingan is so strong and terrifying. And such power must be mastered in his hands. Fortunately, Uchiha Itachi has such awareness, otherwise, the strength of the Uchiha clan is really a huge threat to Konoha. And when the Sharingan on these corpses falls into my hands, it will be transformed into my power. When I also have the power of the Sharingan, I can completely remove all the remaining tumors in Konoha. Shimura Danzo thought secretly in his heart. Seeing that Uchiha Itachi and the masked man had basically killed the main combat force of the Uchiha clan, he began to give orders. With a gesture, the ninjas of the root removed the barriers in their hands, activated the instant body technique, and disappeared immediately, rushing towards the clan land of the Uchiha clan at a very fast speed. Their movements were very crisp and neat, without any hesitation or dragging their feet. Everyone was like a perfect tool, meticulously executing the orders issued by Shimura Danzo. After the large force of root ninja entered the Uchiha clan's territory, only 4 personal ninjas were left beside Shimura Danzo. Tianyu knew in his heart that his chance had come. Chapter 34, A Sneak Attack on Danzo. Danzo's full attention is now focused on the interior of the Uchiha clan below. He feels that this is in Konoha, and this operation is very confidential. Few people know that he will appear here, so naturally he does not keep too many people around him. But what he does not know is that at this time, there is already a person who has quietly groped to his side. The Uchiha clan has just been exterminated, and Shimura Danzo has not yet obtained a large number of Sharingans, and even Senju Hashirama's wood-release cells have not been implanted in his body. At this time, Shimura Danzo is just an ordinary wind-release ninja, who can only do a few sealing techniques at most, and is far less powerful than the battle with Sasuke during the 5-cage talks. So, after a moment of silence in the air, Inuzukayu, one of the 2 close guards beside Shimura Danzo, seemed to suddenly feel a strange breath. This breath appeared very suddenly, but it was very close to them. He hurriedly shouted in panic, "Danzo-sama, be careful." Because it was a sneak attack, Tianyu's move was very fast. Without any defense, even a root ninja at the level of Jinin would find it difficult to make a timely defense in an instant. Puchy. With a sound, a kunai pierced the throat of the Inuzuka clan ninja very cleanly. All this happened too suddenly. Almost in the blink of an eye, a root ninja fell in front of them, "Protect Danzo-sama." At this time, another guard shouted loudly, and the remaining 3 guards became alert, forming a triangle to protect Shimura Danzo's body, and then the 3 guards immediately released their perception and vigilantly observed the surroundings. However, their brows soon frowned, because with their Junin strength, they could not track the breath of the sneak attacker just now, which was extremely strange. "Master Danzo, it seems that the other party is a master of concealing his aura. Please be careful," one of the guards said to Shimura Danzo with great respect. "Who is it?" Shimura Danzo roared angrily with anger in his eyes. He never thought that there would be someone in Konoha village who dared to assassinate him. However, in response to him, there was a dead silence in the air. Time passed by, and a layer of fine beads of sweat rose on the foreheads of the 3 guards around Shimura Danzo. They dared not be careless at all. After all, their main force was not around, and they had to protect the safety of Master Danzo and dared not slack off. They were in the open and the assassin was in the dark, which was very disadvantageous to them. Moreover, the strength of the assassin was definitely not weak. In addition to the powerful ability to conceal his aura, the other party was able to kill a ninja with the strength of a Jonin in front of them. His own strength was definitely worthy of their fear. At this time, Tianyu had already used the secret mask to hide his breath again. He quietly hid in a place not far away, observing everything here, and did not act rashly. The thunder-like sharp attack just now had achieved a very satisfactory effect. Now Shimura Danzo's heart was full of fear. The goal was achieved. Tianyu was thinking about the next plan in his mind. Although his current strength was also very good, in terms of physical confrontation, he was fully capable of fighting even against a ninja of the upper ninja level. Even in the case of a sneak attack, it was not a problem to kill a ninja of the upper ninja level in an instant like just now. But after he killed a person, the guards around Shimura Danzo had become alert, and Tianyu was not so easy to succeed. Tianyu's biggest reliance now was the ability to completely hide his breath brought by the secret mask. It was obviously not a good choice to fight head-on. As an assassin, he had to constantly give Shimura Danzo and his team pressure and a sense of crisis. This was what Tianyu had to do now. As long as he could delay Shimura Danzo's time, it would be enough. Staying here, in fact, is just a shadow clone of Tianyu. He only needs to make intermittent attacks to create enough psychological pressure on Danzo, so that he has no time to care about the things in the Uchiha clan. And his real body has already rushed to the clan of the Uchiha clan with another well-made secret mask. The two effects of the hidden mask. 1. Completely transform into someone else's appearance, and the duration is 3 minutes. 2. Completely hide your own breath and be invisible for 10 minutes. In addition, there is a usage restriction for the hidden mask, cooling time. 1 minute. During the cooling time, the ability to switch masks is invalid. If Tianyu hides his breath and directly puts the Sharingan into his ring in the hands of the root ninja, his identity will be exposed in an instant, causing the vigilance and suspicion of those root ninjas. The strength of those root ninjas is also above the level of Jonin, and their methods are endless. Even if he has a secret mask, it is probably difficult to escape unscathed. Therefore, the only way for Tianyu to obtain the Sharingan is to disguise himself as Shimura Danzo and obtain the Sharingan in public. Therefore, for Tianyu, he only has less than 3 minutes to complete all this. In the clan territory of the Uchiha clan, Danzo, why are you here? Seeing Tianyu disguised as Shimura Danzo walking from a distance with a concealment mask, a captain of the root immediately asked him respectfully. I came to see how you handled it. Tianyu said in a very calm tone. The root captain immediately reported, Report to Lord Danzo, we have collected almost all the bodies of the Uchiha clan with Sharingan, and they are almost all here. But the body of Uchiha Fugaku, the head of the Uchiha clan, has not been found yet. Oh? Is that so? Tianyu narrowed his eyes and said coldly, then why don't you hurry up and find it? All the Sharingan of the Uchiha clan must be collected. Yes, Lord Danzo. Where are the collected Sharingan? Take me there to have a look. Tianyu used a secret mask to completely disguise himself as Shimura Danzo. Before the 3-minute limit, even a cage-level strongman could not see through his disguise. However, Tianyu could disguise Shimura Danzo's aura and chakra, but he could not disguise Shimura Danzo's way of doing things. The root captain frowned slightly. He seemed to have noticed something wrong, but he didn't know what was wrong. He looked up and found that Lord Danzo had come to the Uchiha clan alone, so he couldn't help asking, Lord, where are the guards around you? Tianyu didn't show any panic on his face, and shouted coldly, Why, do I have to report even my staffing arrangements to you? I dare not. Captain Gen said with his head down. Tianyu continued in a cold voice, Humph, I set up the tongue root seal for you, just to let you know, don't ask things you shouldn't ask, don't say things you shouldn't say. As soon as these words came out, the doubts in Captain Gen's heart disappeared immediately. Even the tongue root seal knew that the person standing in front of him must be Lord Danzo. He couldn't help but feel a little annoyed. What was wrong with him today? He dared to doubt Lord Danzo's identity? If he angered Lord Danzo, he would have a hard time. So he hurriedly said to Tianyu, Lord Danzo, I will take you to see the collected Sharingan right away. Please follow me. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, It means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35 Exposed. Following the route, Tianyu soon saw the place where the root ninjas collected the Sharingan. He saw the Sharingan that had just been dug out from the corpses, and was now immersed in a solution containing the cells of Hoshirama Senju. There were dozens of them. Danzo-sama, these are all the Sharingan we have collected so far. The root captain reported respectfully. Yes. Tianyu nodded calmly, then instructed the captain of the root, let me take care of these Sharingans now. The captain of the root hesitated for a moment. He felt that Lord Danzo's style of doing things today was indeed a bit strange, so he couldn't help but say, Lord Danzo, aren't you going to report this matter to Lord Hawkage later? Aren't we going to take these Sharingans back to the base first? Tianyu was stunned for a moment, but his expression changed and he soon calmed down. He stared at the root ninja standing in front of him with a very cold look in his eyes, and said in a grim tone, are you teaching me how to do things? As soon as these words came out, the scene suddenly became terrifyingly quiet. The captain of the root was immediately frightened and quickly knelt on one knee in front of Tianyu. With cold sweat on his face, he hurriedly said, I dare not. I spoke too much? Please punish me, sir. Tianyu snorted coldly and scolded them, hurry up and deal with those corpses. If you delay the business, I will hold you accountable. Yes, Lord Danzo. The root ninjas answered in unison. No one dared to stop Tianyu anymore. Tianyu also knew this very well. He should not stay here for long. The time he used the hidden mask to disguise himself as Shimura Danzo was very limited. If he stayed here for one more second, the danger he would face would increase exponentially. Tianyu walked to those Sharingan calmly. A silver light flashed in his hand, and all those Sharingan fell into his ring. Tianyu breathed a sigh of relief. With a Sharingan in hand, tonight's matter was already half successful. However, Tianyu still did not dare to take it lightly. How to get away from the root people next was also a very severe test for him. The rest of the things will be left to you. I'm going to see the Hawkage first. Tianyu instructed the root ninjas, and then turned and walked away. However, just when he walked to the gate of the Uchiha clan, something strange happened. Whoosh! A flare suddenly rose in the sky in the distance. All the root ninjas in the Uchiha clan were stunned for a moment. Wasn't that flare carried by their Lord Danzo and released only at critical moments? Now Lord Danzo was standing in front of them, how could the flare rise in the distance? The root ninjas looked at Tianyu with strange eyes. Tianyu suddenly cried out in his heart that it was not good. At this moment, he suddenly had an extra memory in his mind, which was the message sent back after his shadow clone was released. The shadow clone he left to delay Danzo had been seized by the guards around Danzo and killed. When Danzo found out that the person who assassinated him was just a shadow clone wearing a mask, he quickly realized that the other party's purpose was to delay him, and his real goal was the Sharingan in the Uchiha clan. So, Shimura Danzo immediately ignited the flare on his body to warn the root ninjas. At this time, the root ninjas had surrounded Tianyu. The root captain then thought that the strangeness of this Danzo that he had just felt was indeed very suspicious. Danzo, please wait a moment. Why did you release your flare somewhere else? Can you explain it to us? Or please take out the flare on you so that we can confirm it. The root captain's tone immediately became very impolite, and he stared at Tianyu's every move with suspicion. Tianyu saw that he could no longer hide, so he had to run away without delay. Tianyu's eyes were wide, and he mobilized his chakra to immediately modify the ability of the secret mask and convert it to the stealth function. Danzo disappeared. All the root ninjas were stunned and stood there for a moment. As expected of a person who could become the captain of the root corps, he was regarded as an important person like the right-hand man of Shimura Danzo. He was superior to others in both intelligence and strength. At this time, he was the first to react. The person in front of them just now must not be the real Danzo. So he quickly gave orders to everyone, don't take it lightly. He must have used some secret technique to hide himself, so we can't see him. He must not have run far. Everyone leave now to chase him and search this area. Yes, Captain. The root ninjas immediately put down the busy things at hand and began to track in the direction of the forest outside the Uchiha clan. Hundreds of root ninjas with at least elite chunin strength immediately surrounded the forest outside the Uchiha clan's territory, forming a huge and dense network, constantly searching for Tianyu's traces. I sensed his chakra, in the southwest direction. The 3-minute hiding time has ended. Tianyu had no choice but to reveal his true body and usher in the 1-minute cooling time of the hiding mask. The sensing ninja in the root easily locked the direction of Tianyu based on the chakra released by Tianyu. Chase! The ninjas of the root shouted loudly, and then they all rushed towards Tianyu. In the originally quiet forest, there was a rustling sound of leaves being scraped. Hundreds of root ninjas wearing animal masks kept stepping on the tree trunks in the forest, leaping up, and turning into one black shadow after another, constantly leaping forward in the forest. They rushed towards the direction of Tianyu at full speed, and continued to gather from all directions. But in the process of chasing, the face of the root sensing ninja became more and more ugly. How far is it to catch up with that person? The captain of the root asked his subordinates. You just said that he was only 500 meters away from us. Why haven't we seen him after chasing for such a long time? The perception ninja's face became even worse, and the expression on his face was uglier than crying. Facing the captain's question, he could only bite the bullet and stammered, Captain, then, that person is now 1,000 meters away from us. Chapter 36, Depressed Danzo. What did you say? Captain Root was stunned for a moment. The sensing ninja could only smile bitterly and repeat again, Captain, he is really getting farther and farther away from us now. That person is much faster than us. We can't catch up with him at all. Captain Root's eyes were filled with horror. He murmured silently in his heart, with a powerful disguise that even we can't find, plus a speed that even I, an elite Jonin, can't catch up with. Could it be that the opponent's strength has surpassed the elite Jonin and reached the level of Cage? Captain Root also quickly made the next deployment. I will go to Lord Danzo first and report this matter to Lord Danzo. The rest of you, continue to track along this route and check if there are any other clues left. Everyone in the route nodded and answered, Yes, Captain. The night was bleak. From the moment Tianyu's identity was exposed, he had already jumped out suddenly, turned into a black shadow, and ran wildly into the dark night. His current strength is not enough to compete with the entire route, so he knows that once his identity is exposed to the route, even if he escapes from Konoha, he will be hunted down by the root ninjas to the ends of the earth. He can't afford such a price. In the vast night, Tianyu kept putting the sandbags tied to his body into the ring. 200 pounds, 150 pounds, 100 pounds, 50 pounds. As the weight on his body became lighter and lighter, Tianyu also felt that his body became lighter and lighter. He could feel that his speed was getting faster and faster like the wind under his feet. The biting wind whistled past his ears like a knife. Tianyu's thin figure fled madly in the dark night, like a flash of lightning. Tianyu kept holding his breath and focusing all his attention on his back. After he removed all the weights, although he had not yet learned to open the 8 gates, he had completely reached the level of a Jonin in terms of complete speed. It would take a lot of time for those root ninjas to catch up with him, and the cooling time of his stealth mask was only 1 minute. After 1 minute, he put on the stealth mask again and hid all his breath. Even if those root ninjas had the ability to reach the sky, they would never be able to find him. Huh? They didn't catch up? The speed of these root ninjas is too slow. Tianyu ran a long way away, and then he looked back to observe the situation of those root ninjas. Only then did he find that they were getting farther and farther away from him, and the speed of catching up was not as fast as his. Tianyu breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out that he had overestimated the speed of those root ninjas. Soon, Tianyu thought of why he had miscalculated the speed. The only Jonin he had ever come into contact with was Might Guy, who had the strength of an elite Jonin, so Tianyu subconsciously thought that the speed of those Jonin strength root ninjas would be similar to Might Guy's usual speed. But in fact, not all Jonins are as proficient in physical skills as Might Guy. In other words, in terms of Jonin strength, there is only Might Guy in the whole Konoha who can reach the speed of Might Guy. With Tianyu's current terrifying strength and physical skills, he is enough to fight with Might Guy for hundreds of moves. It is really difficult for those root ninjas to catch up with him. The cooling of the cloaking mask is over. A prompt sound came from the system, and at this time, Tianyu's nervousness in his heart had completely dissipated. The corners of his mouth unconsciously raised a little arc, looking at the direction where the root ninjas were chasing him, and secretly said in his heart, "Ha ha ha ha, you idiots of the root, I won't play with you." Then, Tianyu put on the cloaking mask, and his figure and breath completely disappeared in the air. What's the situation? Shimura Danzo's face was as gloomy as water, and he coldly questioned the root ninja who knelt on one knee in front of him. The root ninja's temples were covered in sweat under the mask. He suppressed a fear in his heart and quickly replied, "Sir Danzo, the Sharingan we collected before were all stolen by that thief." "What?" Shimura Danzo shouted loudly, and the whole person was furious. He cursed angrily, "Are you a bunch of trash? In front of so many people, your Sharingan can still be stolen by the other party." "It's my fault, sir," the root captain said in a deep voice. "I really didn't expect that the other party would dare to disguise himself as you and appear in front of us. The other party's disguise technique is so powerful that even our root's perception ninja can't detect any clues at all. Humph, these are all excuses for your incompetence." Shimura Danzo cursed angrily, and then said with cold eyes, "You know what the consequences of your failure this time are." The root captain's face under the mask suddenly turned pale, and then he drew the sword at his waist and chopped off his left arm from the shoulder. With a clang, the left arm fell off the body, and blood gushed out continuously. This was the punishment for the root ninjas who had been derelict in their duties, and even he, the captain of the root, was not immune. The captain of the root knew very well what the loss of an arm meant to him. It meant that he would soon be squeezed out of the position of captain and become a person who could be sacrificed at any time in the root. As for Danzo, he had already arrived at another place. Although Danzo had been so angry about the theft of the Sharingan that he had already vomited blood, Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third-generation Hokage, summoned him in the middle of the night, and as the head of the root, he really couldn't refuse. In the Hokage's office, Sarutobi Hiruzen was smoking a pipe, squinting at Danzo Shimura in front of him, and slowly said, "Danzo, I know that all the Uchiha clan's Sharingans are in your hands tonight, but these Sharingans belong to the village, so I think you still have to give them to me, the Hokage, to keep. Is this robbery? This is simply robbery, right?" Exclamation mark. Hearing what Sarutobi Hiruzen said, Shimura Danzo was so angry that he almost wanted to curse. No wonder Sarutobi Hiruzen had always been like, "My forces would never interfere in this matter and leave it to him." It turned out that this old scoundrel was waiting for him here. Now he's even using his identity as Hokage and the village to pressure him? This hypocrite. Danzo was already very angry tonight because of the theft of the Sharingan. Now his face was as gloomy as water, as black as ink. He said unhappily, "Sarutobi, you may be disappointed. Tonight's Sharingan was stolen by a thief. My roots have been searching for the other party for a whole night, but I can't find any trace of the other party." Sarutobi Hiruzen narrowed his eyes and his voice became a little colder. "Do you think I will believe this excuse? Danzo, you think too simply of me." Puff. Danzo's heart suddenly spurted out a mouthful of blood. How can this be an excuse? This is simply the truth. You don't believe me? Did you think I was looking for a reason to embezzle the Sharingan? It's unfair, such an injustice. But Danzo, who couldn't find any reason to explain himself, was extremely depressed, because the thief really didn't leave them even a trace to trace, and his means were extremely clever. You don't believe it, but I really don't have a Sharingan in my hand now, Danzo said unhappily. At this moment, Sarutobi Hiruzen's face became gloomy. During this period of time, Danzo repeatedly disobeyed his arrangements. Now he even wants to embezzle such a precious thing as the Sharingan? It seems that it's time to let him know the means of his Hokage. The root under you is so incompetent that it can't even handle such a small matter. Then there is no need for this organization to exist. The relationship between Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo became tit for tat intense for a while. Chapter 37 Intermediate Forging. After a busy night, Tianyu put on a stealth mask and wandered around the village. After making sure that the ninjas of the root had not found any traces of him, he went home to sleep. If he knew that in the Hokage's office at this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo were fighting each other because of who's stealing the Sharingan tonight, he would definitely laugh out loud. After the night of the Uchiha clan's extermination, the news that the eldest son of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Itachi, exterminated the entire Uchiha clan spread throughout Konoha in the following days, causing quite a stir in Konoha. For a while, the villagers talked about this matter. Some were shocked, some were secretly happy, and some sighed. This matter became an interesting topic for the villagers to chat about after dinner. At the same time, The security forces in the village seemed to have been strengthened a lot during this period, and the ninjas of the Anbu took over the responsibilities of the original guard department. Even in broad daylight, Tianyu could occasionally see the Anbu ninja wearing a cat-faced mask like a black shadow, constantly jumping on the roofs above Konoha, as if searching for some suspicious person in Konoha. However, Tianyu didn't care about it at all. Suspicious person? What does it have to do with Tianyu? He is a genius boy in Konoha, the legitimate successor of the Will of Fire. Tianyu didn't feel blushing or heartbeat at his own thoughts. Of course, in order not to arouse other people's suspicion, Tianyu has kept the Sharingan in his ring since he got it, and has never taken it out. A month later, perhaps Sarutobi Hirozen and Shimura Danzo also felt that there was no hope of finding the Sharingan, and the security forces in Konoha were lifted. Another month passed, and winter came. The villagers in Konoha had lost interest in chatting about the extermination of the Uchiha clan. The once #1 ninja clan in Konoha seemed to be buried with a heavy snow, and disappeared from everyone's eyes from then on, and few people mentioned it again. Another 2 months passed. After the new year, it was already the 58th year of Konoha. Tianyu was 11 years old. In these few months, Tianyu got several 2-star and 3-star forging blueprints one after another. Small barrier crystal ball, 2 stars, can create a 5 square meter space, isolating sound, light, etc. from the outside world. Tracker, 2 stars, placed on others, can sense the other party's geographical location, effective for 30 days. Silver ice bow, 3 stars, ice attribute, can release ice arrows, with a range of 500 meters. Of course, for Tianyu, the most important thing is to forge the 3 Magatama eyes. The moment Tianyu got the Sharingan, his system had already shown that the task was completed, and he also got the forging blueprint of the 3 Magatama eyes in his mind. As expected, the Sharingan is the most important material in the forging process of the 3 Magatama eyes. What shocked him was that the forging blueprint of the 3 Magatama eyes was actually a 4-star difficulty. Tianyu was also very cautious about the forging of the 3 Magatama Sharingan. After all, the Sharingan was a non-renewable resource. Although he had a lot of Sharingans in his hands, he had to ensure the success rate of forging as much as possible. Therefore, Tianyu spent a month preparing for the forging of the 3 Magatama eyes of the 4-star difficulty. After a month, Tianyu was sure that he had mastered every detail of the forging process, and then he began to prepare for forging. The 4-star difficulty drawings were indeed much more complicated to forge. There were as many as hundreds of forging steps, which was a situation that Tianyu had never foreseen in the forging process before. In this regard, Tianyu did not dare to slack off in his heart. He focused his attention on the forging table every minute and every second, striving to be more refined in every step of his forging results. At this time, Tianyu's previous forging of many 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star weapons, as well as the effect of his usual training and physical skills, were reflected. Even though the forging steps were much more complicated, Tianyu was very full of both mental and physical strength, which was the capital that could support him to forge a weapon. A day and a night passed quickly. On the forging table, the shape of the 3 Magatama Sharingan gradually took shape. Forging success, forging result, 3 Magatama eye. He did not let down the time he had spent preparing for so long, and he succeeded in forging it on the first try. A bead the size of a human eyeball, scarlet in color, with 3 Magatama-shaped patterns on it, fell steadily into Tianyu's hands. Tianyu's eyes suddenly showed a touch of joy, and he looked at his system. 3 Magatama eye, grade, 4-star weapon, upgradable, attribute, illusion attribute skill, release a level illusion, every 3 uses, cooling time 1 day, weather to contract, no release a level illusion. Tianyu's heart was suddenly shocked. He did not expect that this 4-star 3 Magatama eye could actually release an A-level illusion. Illusion is a very difficult type of ninjutsu to practice. Even a Jonin like Kiryu can only release the strongest illusion of B grade. Even the dark art developed by the 2nd generation Hokage, Senju Tabirima, is only an A-grade ninjutsu. And the strongest illusion that the Uchiha clan members with 3 Magatama Sharingan can release can only be barely considered A-grade. The A-grade illusion released by Tianyu's 3 Magatama Sharingan can be said to be the strongest illusion under the Mangekyo. After possessing the 3 Magatama Sharingan, Tianyu's strength has once again made a qualitative leap. The only flaw is that it takes a day to cool down after using it 3 times. Tianyu dripped his own blood on this 3 Magatama eye, and after completing the contract, he put the 3 Magatama eye away. At this time, the system made a sound again. Congratulations to the host's forging level, which has been successfully upgraded to the intermediate forging level. Level up reward, a virtual forging space. Tianyu looked at the changes in his system and was very curious for a moment, so he asked the system, what is the virtual forging space? The virtual forging space is a space independent of the host's original world. The host can enter the virtual forging space to forge ninja tools. When the host enters the virtual forging space, the time outside will be in a slow flow state. Tianyu closed his eyes and immediately sensed the sudden extra space in his mind. When he opened his eyes again, he found that he was in another place. There were 3 different things in front of him. The first 2 things were very familiar to Tianyu, namely the forging table and the forging hammer. The white jade forging table and forging hammer looked very high quality, much better than the forging tools he used before. But the remaining thing was something Tianyu didn't recognize. It looked like a very large machine. System, what is this? Tianyu asked. This is a fully automatic workbench. The host has reached 100% forging proficiency in ninja tools. Just throw the materials into the workbench, and the inside of the workbench can automatically forge according to the host's forging memory. Good, what advanced equipment. Suddenly it has become technological. Tianyu couldn't help but call him an expert. With this fully automatic workbench, his forging time has been greatly saved. Moreover, with this forging table, Tianyu no longer has to forge in the small forging shed in the backyard of his home every time, but can enter his own forging space anytime and anywhere. This is really convenient. Is this the benefit after upgrading to an intermediate blacksmith? It's simply great. Chapter 38 Spring Festival 8. Tianyu's body weight has reached 200 kilograms. In the next 6 months, Tianyu began to try to open the 8 gates of Dunjia. After several attempts, Tianyu found that his body's strength was finally able to adapt to the strong impact of opening the 8 gates of Dunjia without causing any damage to his body. In the past 6 months, Might Guy has not been idle at all. In addition to instructing Tianyu on the practice of the 8 gates of Dunjia, the village has also assigned him a lot of tasks. After the Uchiha clan was exterminated, the village was very short of manpower, and now was the weakest time for Konoha in terms of defense. So even an elite ninja like Might Guy had a lot of tasks to do. Another 6 months passed, and Konoha finally stabilized, and all operations were on the right track. At this time, Tianyu was 1 year older, reaching the age of 9. The weight on his body also increased from the original 200 kilograms to 300 kilograms. According to the previous plan, he began to follow Might Guy to learn the Konoha Great Cyclone trick. In the training ground of Konoha Cyclone, green chakra rose from Tianyu's legs, wrapping his entire calf and foot in it, and then he kicked hard at the tree trunk in front of him. Boom! A loud noise was heard. Wood chips flew in the air, and a tree as thick as a man's embrace was kicked in two by Tianyu from the middle, falling down. Might Guy's eyes were full of shock, and his mouth was so surprised that he couldn't close his mouth. Tianyu, your learning speed is too fast, right? You actually mastered this move so quickly. Might Guy couldn't help but exclaimed. Maybe it has something to do with my persistent physical training before, and I have already practiced the Konoha Cyclone move very well before, so at this time, whether it is the condensation of chakra or the burst of physical skills, I have already laid a good foundation. Now I feel that learning it will be a natural thing, without wasting too much effort. Might Guy nodded, and he agreed with what Tianyu had just said. In the study of physical skills, learning the moves is not the most important thing. The most important thing is the daily practice of physical fitness and the foundation of physical skills. However, Might Guy added, Tianyu, you don't have to be too modest. I have never seen anyone who can achieve such physical skills at your age. There is no doubt that you are a genius. Genius? Tianyu smiled and did not deny it. At this time, Might Guy received a notice from the Anbu to go to the Hokage's office to hold a meeting of senior ninjas. Tianyu was the only one left in the training ground, continuing his training. Even though Might Guy was not by his side, he did not relax himself at all. At this time, a small figure in a cheongsam walked towards the training ground where Tianyu was. Brother! Tiantian, from a distance, cupped her hands into the shape of a trumpet and shouted at him. Tianyu looked closely and found that it was his sister Tiantian. Tiantian, why are you here? Tiantian pouted her lips with an aggrieved expression, and said, Brother, you didn't forget what day it is today, did you? What day is today? This is probably a very fatal problem for all straight men like Tianyu, right? Tianyu scratched his head, and his mind was blank for a moment, and he couldn't think of anything. Your birthday? My birthday? Mom and Dad's birthday. He guessed and asked one after another. Tiantian's little hut shook like a rattle, and said angrily, both of our birthdays were celebrated last month, and Mom and Dad's birthdays have to wait until winter. Your answer is too outrageous. Tianyu could only laugh awkwardly twice. Then what day is today? Sister, just tell me directly. Tiantian put her hands on her hips, shook the two cute little tufts on her head, and said in a baby voice, today is the spring festival. We agreed to go for an outing together. Oh. Tianyu's face showed a look of sudden enlightenment. He had never taken the spring festival seriously before. In Konoha village, the spring festival is a very lively festival. Konoha village will hold some activities or festivals, and there will also be festival parades. There will be many performances on the streets of Konoha. The villagers will wear beautiful kimonos and go shopping, or visit the park to enjoy the flowers. Tiantian and Tianyu have participated in it several times before. It's boring to participate in the same activities too many times. The scenery in the wild is just right at this time. It's the time when cherry blossoms are in full bloom. He suddenly had a suggestion in his mind and said to Tiantian, why don't we call some people and go to the wild for a barbecue picnic together? Barbecue picnic. Tiantian's eyes suddenly brightened up, and he jumped up from the ground excitedly and shouted, great! I've wanted to go to the wild for a barbecue for a long time. Then let's divide the work. You go buy the ingredients, and I'll buy the cooking utensils and charcoal. Then we'll call up the friends we meet and gather by the river. How about that? Tianyu arranged. Tiantian nodded immediately, no problem. I'll go buy the ingredients now. After saying this, Tiantian was like a girl as fast as the wind, and she walked away quickly. It was obvious that she was looking forward to the picnic. Tianyu also felt that his daily practice was too boring, just like an ascetic monk. Occasionally, he should take a break and have a good time with his friends. So, Tianyu put away his practice clothes, changed into his Tianyu, and then walked towards the place where charcoal was sold in the market. Unexpectedly, he met an acquaintance just after buying charcoal. Little Hinata was wearing a white kimono yukata with white magnolia flowers printed on it. She looked very plain and elegant, and her ladylike demeanor was revealed everywhere. Tianyu-kun, what a coincidence. Hinata took the initiative to greet Tianyu. It's Hinata, what a coincidence. Tianyu smiled, you look very beautiful today, thank you, thank you. Hinata's face was immediately flushed, and she lowered her head shyly, not daring to look into Tianyu's eyes. What are you doing? Buying hairpins. Tianyu looked at Hinata's hand curiously, and found that she was holding several hairpins of different colors in her hand. Yet, Hinata nodded, then she plucked up the courage in her heart, raised her head and asked Tianyu, Tianyu-kun, which one do you think is beautiful? Can you help me choose one? Okay. Tianyu glanced at the hairpins in her hand, then picked out a pink cherry blossom hairpin and said, I think this one looks good. Ah. Hinata was surprised. She didn't expect that Tianyu-kun actually picked the hairpin that she liked the most before. Could it be that she and Tianyu had a telepathic connection? Thinking of this, Hinata's face became more blushing. Boss, I want this hairpin. I'll pay. Tianyu got ahead of Hinata, paid the money, bought the hairpin, and then said with a smile, today is the spring festival, just consider it as my gift to you, come, I'll put it on you. In the spring festival, there is a tradition of boys giving gifts to girls, which is a tradition, so Tianyu naturally didn't let Hinata buy the hairpin herself at this time. Besides, Hinata is such a cute little lolly, who wouldn't want to buy a pretty and cute little hairpin to pin on the ends of her hair? Tianyu picked up the pink cherry blossom hairpin, and then gently clipped it on the side of Hinata's ear. This hairpin is really suitable for Hinata. Hinata's personality is very shy and cute, as soft and innocent as cherry blossoms. After pinning this hairpin on her temples, she really became more smart and cute, and couldn't help but be lovable. Thank you, Tianyu. Hinata's voice was as weak as a mosquito's buzz. At this moment, her face had already turned as red as cherry blossoms, and she was filled with shyness. Chapter 39 Bullying Hinata. In the Spring Festival, there has always been a tradition of boys giving girls gifts, but in that case, boys usually express their love to girls. But looking at Tianyu's eyes, he probably doesn't know that there is such a meaning, right? Hinata couldn't help thinking, if Tianyu knew this meaning, he would give her a gift, but it's also good now. She is really happy to receive Tianyu's gift. Tianyu, what are you doing? Hinata saw him holding charcoal in his hand, so she asked curiously. Today is not the Spring Festival. I plan to go to the riverside for a picnic and barbecue with my sister. What do you have now? If you don't have anything to do, you can go with me. Tianyu invited enthusiastically. If there is a cute little lolly like Hinata around, I am afraid that Tianyu will be willing to eat a few more bites of barbecue. Huh? Really? Hinata's eyes burst with curiosity. Can I also participate? When she thought of outdoor barbecue, Hinata couldn't suppress her expectations. Just thinking about this kind of thing would be very interesting. For a young lady from a big family like her who stays in a big house all day and has few people to play with, picnics and barbecues are simply a fatal attraction to her. Of course, barbecues are fun only when there are many people. Tianyu said with a smile, and you have met my sister Tiantian before. I believe you will get along well. Hinata nodded. Sister Tiantian is a very easy to get along person. I like Sister Tiantian very much. Tianyu took Hinata's hand and said, then you can go with me. We can buy some cooking utensils and then we can go. Tianyu actually pulled her hand. Suddenly, a warm feeling came from her little hand, and Hinata's heart suddenly accelerated, as if a little deer was about to jump out. Even breathing seemed to become a little difficult, and the brain lost the ability to think in a state of hypoxia. Hinata's mind is now full of, Tianyu and I are holding hands, Tianyu and I are holding hands, Tianyu and I are holding hands. Tianyu just held Hinata's hand and walked forward on his own, not noticing the strangeness of Hinata behind him. It's no wonder that Tianyu didn't notice it for a while. The girls in the world of Naruto are more mature than the world he lived in his previous life. Even if it is a peaceful time now, they know about love and like things at a young age. But in Tianyu's eyes, these girls are just a group of little lolly. Besides, he and Tiantian often hold hands, hug, kiss foreheads, and fight in their daily life. Well, Tiantian is a carefree girl who yearns for violence. No wonder she regards Tsunade as her idol. So he didn't expect that his casual hand-holding would cause such a great psychological impact on Hinata's heart, almost making her faint. Hey! Stop it! At this time, a young man's full-bodied shout suddenly came from a distance. Don't bully that girl anymore. Tianyu felt that the voice seemed to be coming from him, so he was stunned for a moment. Bullying girls? He didn't? Isn't there only Hinata beside him? So he frowned and looked at the person who just shouted. The boy was wearing an orange sportswear and was sprinting towards him. Isn't this Naruto? Tianyu, why is it you? Naruto immediately recognized Tianyu, lowered his voice instantly, and asked shyly while scratching his head. Tianyu asked with a puzzled look in his eyes, Naruto, were you shouting at me just now? Bullying a girl? Naruto's face suddenly became more embarrassed, and he smiled foolishly. Didn't I recognize you, Tianyu? I thought someone else was bullying a girl, so I wanted to be brave and do what was right. If I had recognized you, Tianyu, I would definitely not have made such a mistake. Tianyu smiled and asked, who do you think I'm bullying? Naruto pointed at Hinata and said, it's this girl. I saw that she was about to faint, and she was still being dragged away by you. Tianyu. He looked at Hinata again, and sure enough, her face was red as if she had a high fever, and she looked really uncomfortable. He asked quickly, Hinata, are you okay? Are you feeling unwell? Otherwise, I'll take you to the hospital. Hinata shook her head and whispered, I'm fine, but Tianyu suddenly held my hand. I may have fallen in love with Tianyu. Hinata unconsciously had such thoughts in her mind, and it was such thoughts that made her feel more shy, and her brain lost the ability to think. In the ninja school, she could actually hear Hiruno Sakura and Yamanaka Ino say that they liked Sasuke, but Hinata never knew what love was. Hiruno Sakura and Yamanaka Ino said that when they saw a person, they would blush and their heart would beat fast, and they would feel very sweet in their hearts, and their eyes would always fall on him and couldn't move their eyes away. Isn't this the same as her current situation? So, Tianyu is the person he likes? Ah, sorry. After Tianyu heard what Hinata said, he realized that it was because he had been holding her hand to hurry on the road, which made her feel shy. He couldn't help laughing in his heart. Hinata looked so cute that he could not help wanting to bully her. Tianyu felt ashamed of his evil thoughts. Forget it. She was like this. He couldn't tease her anymore. Tianyu let go of Hinata's hand and asked Naruto, I'm going to have a picnic and barbecue by the river. Do you want to come with me? Barbecue? Doesn't that mean there's meat to eat? Naruto's eyes lit up instantly. For a kid like him who eats instant noodles every day and occasionally eats ramen, meat is a rare delicacy. Brother Tianyu, please take me with you. Naruto hugged Tianyu's thigh with a pleading expression. Puchy, Tianyu was amused by Naruto, pulled him up from the ground, and said, let's go. The cooking utensils have been bought. I guess Tiantian is waiting for us by the river. Naruto nodded readily, fearing that Tianyu would regret it and not take him to eat barbecue. Hinata nodded as well, but she felt her palms were empty, and she seemed to be a little frustrated, as if she was regretting that she shouldn't have told Amaji-kun about the hand-holding. That was a hard-won opportunity to hold hands with Amaji-kun soon. Amaji took Naruto and Hinata to the agreed river. As expected, Tenten had already bought the ingredients and arrived at the river. There were several familiar faces standing beside her. Rock Lee was naturally needless to say. Tenten was accompanied by a mobile sandbag plus free sparring partner. A loyal fan of Amaji, he would definitely be the first to rush over when he heard about this barbecue picnic opportunity. What Amaji didn't expect was that Hyuga Neji, the young master of the Hyuga family who always looked high and mighty in school, was here too. Is anyone familiar with him, Tenten or Rock Lee? At this time, Hyuga Hinata, who was standing behind Tianyu, was obviously stunned for a moment, and then she called softly, Brother Ningsi. Miss Hinata, I didn't expect you to come to such a wild barbecue place. It's really inconsistent with your status. Hyuga Ningsi said to Hinata in a cold voice. Tianyu also walked to Tiantian's side and asked in a low voice, did you invite him? Tiantian nodded and said helplessly, yes, I met him on the street, and then he asked me where you were, saying that he wanted to challenge you. I was tired of him pestering me all the time, so I brought him here, but the price is that all the ingredients for this barbecue were paid by him. Tianyu's eyes twitched, and he couldn't help but complain in his heart, sister, you are really an ordinary little money-saving expert. At such a young age, you know the principle of slaughtering big dogs. Very promising. Chapter 40. You're too slow to respond. The scene at that time became very awkward. The expressions on the faces of Hyuga Neji and Hinata cousins were very unnatural. After all, they were relatives who had a good relationship when they were young, but because of the changes that happened later, they became strangers and hardly spoke to each other in the following years. At this time, they did not expect to meet here. Hyuga Neji was worried about Hinata's existence and the existence of the main family because of the death of his father. Hyuga Hinata felt guilty about Hyuga Neji because the death of Neji's father was related to her. On the other hand, she was guilty. When she heard that Neji and Tianyu were going to fight, she had been cheering for Tianyu in her heart. Later, when she heard that Neji was defeated by Tianyu in less than one move, she felt that Neji was a little pitiful. For a while, both of them stood there in silence, trying to ignore each other's existence. At this time, the carefree idiot Naruto suddenly said, hey, both of you have white eyes, are you two brother and sister? Everyone present couldn't help but roll their eyes in their hearts. Come on, both of them have the iconic white eyes of the Hyuga clan. Is it hard to tell that they are brother and sister? It's really stupid to ask even such a thing. And the brother and sister of the Hyuga clan are obviously very unhappy with this identity and don't want others to mention this matter at all. Naruto, you are so slow to react. You have no sense at all. Huh? Hyuga Neji snorted coldly, and in his heart he had already regarded this yellow-haired boy in orange sportswear as an idiot and ignored him. Hinata's personality is relatively gentle. She and Naruto are classmates, so she can be considered to know him. Because of Tianyu's existence, Hinata's mind in the original book was changed, so Hinata at this time did not have a crush on Naruto like in the original book. He was just an ordinary classmate to her. So Hinata didn't feel shy when facing Naruto at this time. She just explained in a soft and gentle voice as usual, yes, Naruto-kun, Brother Niji is my cousin. We are both from the Hyuga clan. Niji. Hearing this name, Naruto suddenly felt very familiar. He kept rubbing his chin with his hands, and kept thinking about his memories in his mind. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration came to his mind, and he thought of something. He slapped his thigh and shouted, I remember. He is the genius boy who was defeated by Brother Tianyu in one move. As soon as these words came out, the air instantly became quiet. Puff, Hyuga Niji spurted out a mouthful of old blood, and his whole face was as black as if it could drip ink. It was as if a wound in his heart that was almost healed was now ripped open by someone. At this time, the faces of other people also showed strange expressions of different expressions. Hinata Hyuga, Naruto-kun actually brought up this kind of thing. Brother Niji will be very sad. Tianyu, Naruto, you are dancing on the grave of Niji Hyuga. Tiantian, brother, this new friend of yours seems to be a fool. Xiaoli, I didn't expect there is an idiot who can't read colors even better than me. Tianyu, let him join us, so that I won't be the dumbest one. At this time, Tianyu stood up with a frown on his face to break the deadlock. He walked to Naruto and introduced him to the others. His name is Naruto, he is Hinata's classmate, we will all be friends from now on. Everyone nodded and introduced themselves. My name is Tiantian, I am Tianyu's sister. Hello Naruto, my name is Rock Lee, I am Tianyu's classmate, we will be friends from now on. I am Hinata, we are in the same class, but we have never spoken to each other before, please give me more guidance in the future, Naruto-kun. Ningxi, Okay, since everyone has known each other, let's start the picnic. There's still a lot of work to do. Everyone, get moving. Tianyu said to them with a smile. Everyone nodded and started to move separately. Some started to make fire, some started to skewer, some started to cut vegetables. Just when Tianyu was about to move, Hyuga Niji walked towards him and said coldly, Tianyu, I want to challenge you. Let's fight again, this time I will definitely defeat you. Now. Tianyu frowned. If I refuse him, I'm afraid this stubborn guy won't give up easily, and things will become more troublesome. So Tianyu said, I can accept your challenge, but I have to set a bet. Ningxi asked curiously, what bet? Tianyu smiled and said, if you win, I will return the title of the top student and the title of genius boy to you. If you lose, you will do all my work during the barbecue. Ningxi hesitated for a moment, then nodded, okay, I promise you. He couldn't let the lessons of his previous failures always suppress his heart, otherwise Tianyu would become a mountain in his life that he could never climb over. I won't fall so easily. I will definitely defeat him. Then let's go. Tianyu walked towards the distance. A battle requires a certain area and space, and Tianyu doesn't want to ruin today's barbecue. Boom boom, in the distant forest, the sound of fighting continued to come. Guess, will my brother win, or will Hyuga Niji win? Tiantian, who is not afraid of trouble, asked everyone with a quirky expression. Naruto was the first to shout loudly, Brother Tianyu. Brother Tianyu will definitely win. Hinata nodded slightly, although Brother Niji is very talented, I still think Tianyu will win. Xiaoli also showed a very confident expression on his face at this time. He stretched out his index fingers on his left and right hands, crossed them on his chest, and analyzed. 10 minutes, I think Tianyu will definitely end the battle within 10 minutes. So fast? Exclamation mark. Naruto and Hinata both showed surprised expressions. But Tiantian shook his head at this time, then stretched out 3 fingers, and smiled mysteriously at everyone. 3 minutes, it only takes 3 minutes, brother can end the battle. This time, even Xiaoli was shocked. During this period, Hyuga Niji showed extraordinary strength in the ninja school. Moreover, he also collected a lot of information about Tianyu and had some understanding of his tricks. This time he would definitely not be as careless as last time. How could it be solved in 3 minutes? Could it be that Tianyu's strength has become so strong that they dare not imagine it? However, during the time they hesitated, Tianyu and Niji had already walked out of the woods in the distance. Tianyu was still like before, his clothes were not even stained with dust, while Hyuga Niji had a bruised face. The result of this duel was self-evident, and everyone guessed it. But they didn't expect that it was just as Tianyu said. The whole process of this duel from the beginning to now took less than 3 minutes. How did you guess it? Everyone looked at Tianyu. Tianyu showed a mysterious smile on his face again, and explained to everyone, because my brother is hungry, so he wants to eat quickly. Boom. Everyone looked shocked and walked behind them. Was the battle to be resolved within 3 minutes because of this reason? If the battle had not been before dinner, Tianyu might have chosen to fight him a few more moves, which might have helped him build up some confidence. But now, because Tianyu was in a hurry to eat, he would directly use thunder-like means to quickly resolve the battle, so the strength he showed would definitely be at the crushing level. Thinking about it this way, isn't Hyuga Niji too miserable? When they looked at Hyuga Niji, there was suddenly a bit more sympathy in their eyes. Chapter 41 Happy Hour. According to the agreement between Tianyu and Hyuga Niji, if he loses, he will have to do all the barbecue work for Tianyu. At this time, Hyuga Niji, with a bruised face, did start working according to the previous agreement. Lighting the fire, cutting the meat, grilling, sprinkling seasoning. Soon the fragrance filled the air. Tiantian, Xiaoli, Hinata, and Naruto, all of them couldn't help but show some anticipation on their faces. After that, even Hyuga Niji, who had always had a cold face, couldn't help but feel a little hungry. It seems that this meat is not enough to eat. Tiantian muttered softly. She didn't expect that so many people would come to this picnic, so the amount of ingredients she bought before was not enough. Leave it to me. Tianyu said with a smile, and then turned and walked towards the depths of the woods. Hey, brother Tianyu. It's very dangerous over there. Uzumaki Naruto couldn't help but shout loudly. Even though he was naughty, he didn't dare to go deep into the forest over there. It was said that there were many large wild beasts in that forest. However, not long after, Tianyu came back quickly. He was dragging a big wild boar in his hand, which looked to be 200 pounds. Tiantian, Xiaoli, Hinata, Naruto, and Niji couldn't help but stop their actions, opened their mouths wide, and stared at Tianyu holding a wild boar that was bigger than him and walked back from a distance. Brother, is this the wild boar you killed? Tiantian couldn't help swallowing his saliva, shocked. Oh my god, brother Tianyu, you are so awesome. You can even kill such a big wild boar. Uzumaki Naruto praised with his eyes wide open. Tianyu, you are so awesome. Hinata's eyes flashed with light, full of admiration. Wow. Tianyu is really training his abilities all the time. Is this the real secret of Tianyu's strength? Xiaoli analyzed with a serious look, using fighting with wild boars to train his actual combat ability? Maybe this is a new way of training. This guy. Niji's eyes sank, and he couldn't help muttering. When the two of them fought just now, Hyuga Niji used up all his chakra, and even now he hasn't fully recovered. But Tianyu not only defeated him quickly, but now he even has time to hunt a wild boar. How terrifying is his current strength? Exclamation mark. Hyuga Niji's eyes were suddenly covered with a layer of gray mist, and his eyes were no longer as bright as before. He fell into deep confusion. Is it true that only people like Tianyu can be called geniuses? Those achievements that he was once proud of are not worth mentioning in front of him. He is simply a complete loser. Tianyu saw the disappointment and self-abandonment in Hyuga Niji's eyes, but he didn't say anything. He was a very proud person who easily got stuck in a dead end. Some things and some ideas must be figured out by himself before they can be changed. Others can't help him. Hurry up and eat barbecue. Why are you still standing here stupidly? Tianyu patted Hyuga Niji on the shoulder, and then pushed him in the direction of the barbecue. Why do you need to think about so many big principles? You are not active in eating. I think you have a problem with your brain. Then Tianyu ignored Hyuga Niji and went straight to eat barbecue. Hyuga Niji looked at Tianyu with a very complicated look, and finally seemed to compromise in his heart, so he walked towards the barbecue grill and joined them. Sizzle. The aroma of barbecue continued to float in the air. Tianyu and others couldn't wait any longer. After the aroma of meat floated in the air, several people immediately began to feast on it. Meat. Give me another skewer of roasted wild boar meat. I want one too. Hey. Niji, don't steal my meat. Hey. Leave a few skewers for Hinata and me. Be more modest to us girls. Freshly roasted pork belly, fat and lean meat first come, first served, only 20 skewers. The sounds of laughter, chasing and playing gradually sounded by the river. After all, they were just some children who were not yet 10 years old. Although they were a little precocious, although their understanding of the world was strange, and although they might have had some friction in their previous lives. But at this moment, in the whole forest, By the clear river, it seemed that only the laughter of this group of happy children was left. The spring festival passed quickly. This experience left very happy memories in the hearts of Tianyu and the others. Their lives returned to the daily routine of going to the ninja school and practicing after school. On this day, Might Guy suddenly found Tianyu. What? Practice outside the village? Tianyu was surprised. Might Guy nodded and said, "Yes, Tianyu, I think your strength has long surpassed the level of students in the ninja school, but you can't graduate early now, and it's a waste of time to stay in the ninja school." Tianyu nodded secretly in his heart. He had indeed learned the knowledge in the ninja school a long time ago. Staying in the ninja school was indeed a waste of time for him, but this was the rule set by the third Hokage himself before Tianyu also felt helpless. This was probably the same as his previous life, those college students who were just trying to get a diploma, right? But looking at what Might Guy said now, what he meant was, I can take a leave from the ninja school and then go out of the village with him to practice? This is a rare opportunity. Tianyu's eyes lit up. He has been staying in Konoha village since he was born, and has never traveled outside the world of Konoha village. Naturally, he is very curious. Might Guy looked at Tianyu in front of him who was in a trance, and asked hesitantly, "What's wrong, Tianyu? Don't you want to?" Tianyu quickly shook his head and said, "No, of course not. I was so surprised to hear the news just now, that's why I was absent-minded for a moment." Ho ha ho ha. Might Guy laughed heartily. "I knew that, Tianyu, you must want to face the challenge like me. This is our burning youth. Teacher Kai, shall we set off tomorrow?" Tianyu asked with curiosity in his heart. He had been looking forward to this so-called outing experience. "Don't worry, Lord Hokage just approved me to take you out for training, so I hurried over to tell you the good news. But before we leave, there are still many things to prepare." Might Guy's expression became more serious. Training is not as simple as a spring outing for children. We must prepare enough dry food and water, as well as weapons, etc. Of course, I have to take on a few tasks as the content of our training this time. Tianyu nodded. Indeed, they went out for training this time, and it was unknown how long it would take before they returned to Konoha. There are no airplanes or high-speed trains in this world. Basically, they have to walk to travel. Although ninjas have chakra blessings, which can increase the speed of travel, they may face a battle at any time in the face of many unknown dangers outside. They must also maintain their chakra at a relatively full level to ensure that they can immediately enter the combat mode. And before leaving Konoha, he also has a lot of preparations to do. After Might Guy told Tianyu everything, the two separated and began to make the most adequate preparations for their subsequent outings. The departure time was agreed to be 3 days later. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42 Farewell. At Tianyu's house, after Tianyu told his sister Tiantian that he was going out of the village for training, the little girl's reaction was really strong. "What? Brother, you are going out of the village for training without taking me? Am I still your biological sister?" Tiantian crossed her arms in front of her chest, her face puffed up with anger. "You are not strong enough now, it's very dangerous outside, and Teacher Kai and I don't have time to take care of you." Tianyu patted Tiantian's head and said with a smile, "During this time, you should improve your strength in the village. After you graduate from the ninja school, I will take you out to play. But as a compensation to you, I'll get you some fun things." "What fun things?" Tiantian's curiosity was instantly aroused. Tianyu smiled mysteriously. "You will definitely like it." "Really?" Tiantian was not a willful girl. She quickly got rid of her displeasure just now, adjusted her mentality, and deliberately acted very arrogantly and said, "If your things really make me like them, then I won't mind you leaving the village without me." "Well, my sister is the best." Tianyu smiled with satisfaction, and then took Tiantian to his room. He had already taken out some low-level ninja tools from his system space, thousands of one-star kunai, shuriken and other ninja tools, as well as dozens of 2-star kusanagi swords, Tianyu clothes, kingling boots and other things. Of course, there is also a most important stored ring. "Brother, what is this?" For girls, the most attractive thing is beautiful clothes, so the first thing Tiantian saw was the very conspicuous Tianyu clothes. Wow, what a beautiful dress! Tiantian's eyes were immediately attracted by this dress. Tianyu had expected this scene. He took Tiantian's hand and pierced one of her white fingers with a kunai. Tiantian felt pain, but there was no anger on her face. Brother, what are you doing? Try to apply the blood on your fingertips on this dress. Although Tiantian was full of doubts, she still did what her brother said. At the moment when she applied the blood on her finger on the dress, a white light suddenly flashed on the white Tianyu, and Tiantian suddenly felt that there seemed to be something extra in her mind. And the white Tianyu had automatically appeared on Tiantian's body. Wow, so magical. Tiantian opened his mouth wide, with uncontrollable surprise in his eyes. I actually became the owner of this dress? And I also know all the functions of this dress. Oh my god. What's going on? Tianyu explained with a smile, this dress is also a kind of ninja tool I made. You put blood on it and signed a contract with this dress. And then there are the functions of this dress such as cleaning, which you should already know. Tiantian's eyes narrowed into a crescent shape, and he couldn't hide his inner joy at all. He laughed. Brother, is this the gift you want to give me? I really like it. This dress is so beautiful. And it has so many unique functions. At this time, Tiantian seemed to have made up her mind. She puffed out her undeveloped chest and said loudly, I've decided, I will wear this dress every day in the future. Silly girl. Tianyu was amused by Tiantian's naive look. He couldn't help rubbing her little head and said with a smile, there's not only this Tianyu dress, but also other things. You should go and have a look. I guarantee you will like them all. Tiantian nodded vigorously, and then began to look at the things one by one. Wow, this pair of boots looks great too. Pure white with delicate dark patterns. Wait, it can actually speed me up. Amazing. This ring. It actually has a storage space. I don't know how many times more useful it is than a weapon sealing scroll. Wait, isn't this the Kusanagi sword? Brother, you finally gave it to me? I've been eyeing it for a long time. Tiantian's mouth had already opened into an O shape, big enough for an egg to fit in. The shock in her eyes was self-evident. I never expected that her brother could create so many amazing things. He is simply a genius. And now, he actually gave all these things to herself. Tiantian has completely fallen into a crazy joy, as if she had obtained a huge treasure, and she was almost dizzy with this happiness. Sister, I am sure that I am my brother's biological sister. Tiantian said seriously, even if we are not related by blood, we are biological sisters. Brother, please let me hold your thighs tightly and don't let go. Are you hungry? I'll make you something to eat. Or if you want to eat something else, I'll buy it for you. Brother, please give me a chance to show myself. You little girl, what are you thinking about in your little head all day long? Tianyu was amused by Tiantian's servile appearance. He could only knock her on the head and continue to remind her, be serious, I'm explaining something to you. Yes. Tiantian nodded immediately as if he had received an order. Tianyu cleared his throat and continued, ahem, these things are all left by me for you. I think they will be enough for you to use for a long time. These are the clone kunai, substitute kunai, and transformation kunai. You have used them before. You have also learned about the Tianyu and kindling boots. These are all made by me. You should also know their functions. Tianyu talked to Tiantian for a long time. At this time, Tiantian suddenly had an idea in his mind, so he couldn't help asking, brother, can these things be sold in our ninja tool shop? The little money grubber's eyes couldn't help but burst out with brilliance. The price of a clone kunai is enough to sell for more than 3 times the price of an ordinary kunai, and the Tianyu and kindling boots that my brother took out, if they are sold, will definitely be popular throughout the village and become treasures that everyone will rush to buy. If all these ninja tools are sold, that would be a very powerful fortune. It's more profitable than being a ninja on a mission. But at this time, Tianyu shook his head at her, sister, these things cannot be sold now, only you can use them. Tiantian's eyes were full of doubts, but even if her brother was going out for a long time, she couldn't use up so many ninja tools. Wouldn't it be a waste to put these expensive ninja tools here? As if seeing through Tiantian's confusion, Tianyu continued to explain, an innocent man is guilty of possessing a treasure. If these things are known to people on a large scale, It is always easy to cause calculations by people with bad intentions. There is no powerful ninja in our family. Teacher Kai and I have to go out of the village to practice. If these ninja tools are sold openly, we will encounter some troubles that you can't handle. Besides, even with my current strength, it is still far from enough. No wonder you, brother, have made so many ninja tools and never said you wanted to sell them. Tiantian's understanding ability is very strong. Tianyu only explained a few sentences roughly, and she already knew the interests involved. So she nodded and said, I understand, brother. I will use these ninja tools to improve my strength, don't worry. Tianyu also smiled with relief. In short, during the time I'm not at home, you have to take good care of our parents, and you have to take more responsibility for the things at home. I will write to you often, and I will also write to you about the interesting things I encountered during the practice. Don't worry, I will definitely come back before the graduation exam. When she really said goodbye, Tiantian's eyes suddenly turned red. She threw herself into Tianyu's arms and said coquettishly with a crying voice, Brother, you have to take care of yourself outside. Besides, you promised me that you would definitely come back before the graduation exam. You can't lie to me. Tianyu smiled, when have I ever lied to you? Chapter 43 3 years later. 3 years later, in the 59th year of the Konoha calendar, in the Wave Country, the border between the land of fire and the land of water, Tianyu and Might Guy were on their way out for training. After 3 years, Tianyu has grown to 12 years old, and can be regarded as a half-grown teenager. His appearance has also changed. The baby fat on his face has gradually faded, and his bones have grown rapidly. Not only has he grown taller, but even his facial features have become more angular and resolute. Compared with the original cuteness, he has become more handsome and handsome. Walking on the street, Tianyu's appearance is enough to attract the attention of many girls. Look, there is a handsome guy over there. Good, so handsome. But he looks a little young, what a pity. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid that others will say you are an old cow eating young grass? I heard that young handsome guys nowadays like sexy sisters with full charm like you the most. Hate, stop teasing me. Hey, after all, he is a handsome guy who makes people drool. Waves of whispers came from behind Tianyu and Might Guy. Both Might Guy and Tianyu are powerful ninjas with very sharp five senses. Naturally, they heard those whispers clearly. Tianyu had an indifferent expression. He had heard too much about being handsome, and he had long been accustomed to it. But for Might Guy, this was a huge blow. At this time, the expression on Might Guy's face was like a dead body, showing a very stiff and ugly expression, and the whole person was extremely depressed. He was so depressed that he wanted to cry. He was an elite Jonin in Konoha village, a famous blue beast. He had a muscular body from years of training, a perfect height of over 1.8 meters, and was at a good age for love, but none of these women noticed him. There was not a single word about him in the discussion. Everyone's eyes were on Tianyu beside him, and the discussion was also about him. Is he not as attractive as a 12-year-old boy? Might Guy, who had already come to a conclusion about this issue, felt a great blow in his heart. It was not until Might Guy and Tianyu walked out of the town and the whispers behind them completely disappeared that Might Guy finally regained some vitality. Where are we going next? Tianyu asked him. The next mission should be coming soon. Konoha's efficiency in issuing missions recently is really average. Might Guy said with emotion. At this time, in front of Might Guy and Tianyu, there was a bang, and a white mist rose. A small green turtle with a mission scroll tied to its back appeared in front of the two of them. This was the summoning beast contracted by Might Guy, the green water turtle. Tianyu was no longer surprised by this. During the 3 years that Tianyu and Might Guy had been training outside, they had never returned to Konoha, but they had always maintained a close connection with Konoha. Most of the communication methods were through Might Guy's summoning beast to travel back and forth between Konoha, helping them to continuously accept the missions issued by the village. The mission is here. The content of this mission is, protect Mr. Dasna to complete the construction of the bridge. Level, sea level. Might Guy read the content of this mission to Tianyu, and then he sighed, this mission is too simple. Before, the two of us were both carrying out B-level missions. Now that we encounter this kind of sea-level mission, we are completely uninterested. Even Might Guy feels that this mission is not challenging and makes people feel bored. Then it must be really boring. However, Tianyu beside Might Guy was stunned for a moment. Dasna? Isn't that the mission of the Land of Waves? In the original work, Kakashi took Naruto and his team to carry out the first C-rank mission. How did it come to him now? Maybe his appearance changed some of the plots in the original work, so this mission fell into his hands by chance. It is obviously a C-rank mission, but in terms of the real difficulty, it has reached the height of A rank. Although Tianyu has no good impression of guys like Desna who lied about the mission and concealed information, he thinks this mission is very challenging. Because this mission will encounter the rebel ninja of the Land of Water, Momochi Zabuza. He is a person that Tianyu really wants to fight, not only because of the strength of the opponent's elite Chunin, but also because of the beheading sword in his hand. Tianyu really wants to know, is his sword stronger, or his own sword stronger? At this time, he also heard the sound of the system issuing a task release, collect the blood of the beheading sword in the ice escape bloodline limit. Mission reward, Zenpakuto, Dogurenhai or Ringmaru blueprint. As soon as this news appeared in Tianyu's mind, his breathing instantly stopped for a second. Oh my god. Tianyu rarely showed such surprise. Even if you had received a 6-star difficulty 6-path Sage Ninja Tool blueprint before, he was not so surprised. Because this time the reward blueprint is as Zenpakuto. The sword of Hitsugaya Taoshirao, the captain of the 10th Division in Bleach. The Great Crimson Lotus High or Ringmaru has a wide attack range and adds ice and snow damage. The power of the initial release stage can change the color of the sky and the earth. It is called the strongest ice-type Zenpakuto. Tianyu's heart is moved. Let's go to carry out this mission. Tianyu was full of fighting spirit and action and shouted to Might Guy, don't you usually dislike B-level missions for being easy? Why are you so excited about a C-level mission at this time? Is it me who has a fever, or is he? Might Guy felt that there must be something wrong between the two of them. In a tavern outside the Land of Waves, Might Guy and Tianyu met the client of this mission, Desna. It may be that the mission was 1 year earlier than in the original book, and Desna at this time was not as sloppy and depressed as in the original book, and looked like a drunkard. However, when he saw Tianyu, there was still some distrust in his eyes. So, among the people who carried out this mission, you are the only ninja? Desna asked with a squint. Might Guy treated the client and explained seriously, yes, but the one next to me is my apprentice. His current strength is not much weaker than mine. With the two of us, it is enough to complete this mission. Huh? Desna put on a very exaggerated expression on his face, and then laughed. Might Guy, are you kidding me? Look at how old this kid is. 10 years old, or 11 years old? If he really has that kind of strength, why is he not even a ninja now? Desna, I'm 12 years old this year. Tianyu smiled. Tisk, isn't that still a kid? Desna said casually after taking a big sip of soju. At the moment when he finished speaking, the kune in Tianyu's hand flashed in the air and was already against Desna's neck. The stinging feeling was transmitted to the brain, and a light pink mark immediately appeared on his neck. Tianyu said with an unchanging smile on his face, Desna, if you still don't trust my strength, I can cut your throat now. Madman. He is a madman. And an extremely powerful madman. Although he is only 12 years old, Desna dare not underestimate the strength of this child anymore, because his eyes have already explained everything. Those are a pair of eyes that have killed people. Desna was frightened and his face turned pale in an instant, as if the blood in his body was flowing backwards, and the whole person was terrified to the extreme. He had no doubt in his heart that if he completely angered the man in front of him, he would really kill himself. I am the client, you can't kill me. This violates the regulations of your ninja mission. Desna screamed in horror. Tianyu's smile deepened, and he said slowly, as you can see, I am not a ninja yet, and you are not my nominal client. It doesn't matter even if I kill you now, do you still doubt my ability? Chapter 44, Wave Country Mission. No more doubts. I believe in your ability. Desna swallowed his saliva and said in cold sweat. Is this the terrifying thing about ninjas? Even such a young child has the ability to kill him at any time. Desna looked at Tianyu with a little more awe. Very good. Tianyu nodded with satisfaction, and then he took back the kunai in his hand. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble later, Tianyu felt that it was necessary to give this uncle a little deterrence in advance. Then let's get on the road. Tianyu, Might Guy and Desna walked out of the tavern and headed towards the small border country of waves between the land of fire and the land of water. Since Desna was an ordinary person, it was naturally impossible for him to travel in the way of the ninja before, so he could only walk slowly with Desna. It will take about 2 days from here to the land of waves. Tianyu frowned after looking at the map. It was really a waste to waste time on such things as traveling. Tianyu wore a dark golden ring on his finger. Intermediate ring, a 5-star special weapon. Not only does it have 100 cubic meters of storage space, which is much larger than the previous primary ring, but the biggest difference between this intermediate ring and the primary ring is that it can even store living things. Of course, Tianyu now doesn't want to put Desna in the ring and take him on the road. This ring contains all the treasures that Tianyu has made over the years, and he won't let such an unknown person enter his ring. Even Might Guy doesn't know the specific function of the ring in his hand. This is Tianyu's important secret. And now, he took out a palm-sized mechanical bird from the ring. What is this? Desna's eyes were full of curiosity. Mechanical bird, let's use this to travel instead. Tianyu said. So small? Can't even put one of my feet. Desna said with disbelief. Tianyu did not explain it to him, but turned the mechanism on the mechanical bird. The mechanical bird, which was only the size of a palm, changed its shape several times and turned into a super large mechanical bird with a height of more than 2 meters and a wingspan of more than 5 meters. Wow, so magical. As an architect, Desna also has some knowledge of machinery. He was immediately shocked by the sophisticated design of this mechanical bird. And he couldn't help but secretly estimate the market value of this mechanical bird in his heart. 10 million taels? No, no, no. 30 million taels? No, at least more than 100 million. After this thought came to his mind, Desna couldn't help but be shocked by this number. The price of 100 million is enough to equal the fiscal revenue of a small country like the Kingdom of Waves for 5 years. This 12-year-old boy in front of him can actually come up with such a thing? It is no exaggeration to say that he is rich enough to rival a country. Tianyu was not at all concerned about Desna's shock. This was a mechanical bird, but it was just a ninja tool forged from a 4-star forging blueprint. It was similar to the puppet bird of the red sand scorpion. It was basically only used to travel and transmit information. For Tianyu, it was not a very important thing. Might Guy was also surprised when Tianyu first took out all kinds of strange things, but after such a long time of getting along, he was no longer surprised by these things. Seeing Desna's performance at this time, he couldn't help but laugh in his heart. It seems that I am not the only one who looked like I had never seen the world before. It seems that everyone has looked like they have never seen the world before. This shows that Tianyu is still amazing. He has created so many powerful things. And a genius like Tianyu is his apprentice, Might Guy. When he thought of this relationship, Might Guy felt very proud. Let's go. Tianyu jumped onto the back of the mechanical bird first. Might Guy nodded, and then he also grabbed Desna's collar and put him on the back of the mechanical bird. The wings of the mechanical bird slid forward, leaving the ground and flying into the sky. The trees, buildings and people on the ground gradually became smaller in their eyes. A few hours later, Tianyu and his team landed at the border of Wave Country. The weather in Wave Country is not good. Because it is close to the sea and belongs to an island country, the rain is very dense. Although it is not raining now, the clouds are dense, and fog rises below. Such weather conditions are not suitable for continuing to fly. There is not much road left. We can get there in 2 hours. Tianyu said to them, and then put away the mechanical bird. After entering the territory of Wave Country, Desna was very familiar with the route here. He led the way, and Tianyu and Might Guy protected him on the left and back. Now they have entered the territory of the Land of Waves. According to the time, the Kaz group has completely controlled the Land of Waves, so they must be on guard. Just as the three of them walked through a large puddle of water, Tianyu's eyes stayed on the puddle for 2 seconds, and then moved away without a sound. Haha, what a bunch of idiots. Just as the three of them walked through the puddle of water and continued to move forward with their backs to the puddle, a head suddenly popped out of it. Hoo-la-la. The first one. The sound of the chain spreading was particularly harsh on this quiet path. A low and murderous voice came from behind. 2 figures appeared behind Tianyu without knowing when. Shoo. The chains in their hands were rushing towards Tianyu, intending to tie him up. A dazzling white light flashed in the air, accompanied by a crisp sound of being unsheathed, as if a meteor passed through the sky. After Tianyu turned 180 degrees, the long sword passed in front of the two people, and the sword energy disappeared in an instant. After Tianyu turned around completely, the longsword in his hand had already returned to the sheath. The figures of the two assassins were stagnant. Puff. After a few seconds, a large amount of blood gushed out from the arteries on their necks. The blood water splashed around like a fountain. Even if it accidentally splashed on Tianyu's body, it would soon disappear as if washed by rain. The eyes of the two of them were full of disbelief, because they had never thought that they would die in the hands of a 12-year-old boy. But they had no chance to regret. The anger was gradually stripped from their eyeballs bit by bit. Their bodies fell backwards uncontrollably and turned into corpses lying on the ground. Witnessing this violent and bloody scene, ordinary people like Dazna couldn't help vomiting beside him. Tianyu, your fighting style is getting more and more violent. Might Guy couldn't help but hold his forehead and said. Tianyu raised a smile and said, I don't want to use a second trick to solve a problem that can be solved with one trick. It's up to you. Might Guy said speechlessly. Although the method is a bit violent and bloody, it is indeed an efficient way to solve the problem. This strong psychological quality is also one of the results of Might Guy bringing Tianyu out for training and experience this time. Might Guy attaches great importance to his favorite disciple and pampers him. For this kind of thing, he just lets him do it. Might Guy turned his eyes to Dazna, who vomited all the food, and his eyes were dodging and he dared not look directly at Might Guy. Might Guy took the initiative to speak. Mr. Dazna, you seem to have concealed a lot of information about this mission? Judging from the characteristics of these two corpses, although they are both wandering ninjas, they are at least Chunin level. In the division of our Konoha village's mission system, as long as it involves fighting with ninjas, the lowest is a B-level mission. Why did you lie about the mission level? How do you know they are coming for me? Dazna, who was questioned, still wanted to continue struggling, so he pointed his finger at Tianyu and tried to lead the conflict of the topic to him. They just attacked him. Seeing that Dazna was unwilling to admit it easily, Might Guy said in a very tough attitude, Mr. Dazna, but if you don't admit it, then we have nothing to say. As Konoha's ninjas, if we find that the mission conflicts with a previous intelligence, we have the right to terminate the mission. If you don't choose to tell us the truth, our mission will end here, and we might as well separate here. Mr. Dazna, your subsequent life safety has nothing to do with our Konoha. Chapter 45, Fighting Momochi's Abuser. Seeing Might Guy's tough attitude, Dazna remained silent, his expression changing repeatedly. Finally, he sighed and said with his head down, I did hide something from you before. Then, Dazna finally told the whole situation in the Wave Country truthfully. After learning the whole truth, Might Guy was in a dilemma for a while. In addition to the two rebellious ninjas they just killed, they might even encounter other rebellious ninjas with the strength of Jonin. This is not just a B-level mission. In terms of the difficulty of the battle, it has even reached the level of A-level missions. For A-level missions, even for elite Jonin-level ninjas like Might Guy, the death rate during the mission is quite high, which is enough to show how dangerous this level of mission is. Tianyu, what are you going to do? Might Guy asked Tianyu. Teacher Kai, continue the mission. Tianyu's eyes flickered slightly. Hearing this answer, Might Guy's expression was slightly startled. From Tianyu's eyes that were as dark as the night, it seemed that he saw a hint of excitement. Might Guy thought of Tianyu's current strength, and he could fight even against a ninja of the upper Jonin level, so he nodded and said, then let's continue this mission. Tianyu and his friends set off again. Although they have now arrived in the territory of the Land of Waves, they still need to walk a distance to reach Dazna's home. Walking on the sparsely traveled forest path, Tianyu and Might Guy's attitudes are a bit more serious than before. However, sitting and waiting for death is not their style. Might Guy is not a perceptive ninja, so the task of investigating the surrounding situation fell to Tianyu. Tianyu took out a small bag from his storage ring and poured the contents on the ground. It looks like a small toy in the shape of a mouse, but it is only the size of a fingernail, and there are hundreds of them. Scouting rats, 3-star grade weapons, have a strong sensitivity to chakra and elemental power. All the information obtained by the scout rats can be shared synchronously. These hundreds of scout rats can help Tianyu collect all the information nearby in the shortest time, forming a detailed intelligence network and transmitting it to his mind. With the help of the scout rat, Tianyu's ability in scouting is not inferior to that of professional scout ninjas. Teacher Kai, someone is coming ahead. Tianyu quickly received the intelligence feedback from the scout rat. Might Guy trusted what Tianyu said very much, so he nodded and said, Tianyu, you protect Mr. Desna. Then, a strong breath came, and with Might Guy's strength, he also felt the other party's approaching breath. Swish! A residual shadow flashed through the woods and fell on the trunk of a big tree in front of Tianyu and his people. It was a black-haired man carrying a big sword and a mist ninja sword protector that was scratched, and the lower half of his face and neck were wrapped in bandages. Tianyu recognized at a glance that this person was the demon one of the current 7 ninja swordsmen, Mamachi Zabuza. Oh, you guys are not surprised at all. Could it be that you have already discovered my existence? Zabuza Mamachi drew out his beheading sword, and then set his sights on Might Guy, the only one wearing a sword protector. Then a trace of doubt appeared in his eyes. Might Guy's green sportswear and the watermelon-shaped head were too conspicuous. Just one look was enough to make a deep impression. He should be the Blue Beast of Konoha, Might Guy, who has become famous in the 5 major countries during this period, right? With the strength of an elite Chunin, he also has very powerful physical skills. Even the ninjas who are best at using physical skills in the country of lightning have praised his strength. But according to the information Zabuza Mamachi had obtained before, Might Guy is not a ninja who is good at reconnaissance. Could it be the 12-year-old kid next to him? Then Zabuza Mamachi felt ridiculous for his childish thoughts. That kid was not even a ninja, so how could he have such a strange idea? Zabuza Mamachi, who couldn't think of the answer to this question, decided not to dwell on it anymore. Leave that old man to me, and I'll let you go. Zabuza Mamachi locked his eyes on Desna. Yoshi, another chance to fight. Might Guy's eyes revealed excitement, and he didn't care what Zabuza Mamachi said. A green figure flashed in the air and attacked him. Konoha whirlwind. Might Guy's figure appeared above Zabuza Mamachi's side, and his right leg, full of all his strength, smashed down hard on him. Zabuza Mamachi frowned, obviously very surprised by the speed and strength displayed by Might Guy. He quickly raised the beheading sword in his hand, and then used the heavy blade to resist Might Guy's fierce attack. Konoha's Blue Beast? It really lives up to its reputation. Zabuza Mamachi said in a deep voice, but you are unlucky to meet me. Splash! Zabuza Mamachi's figure turned into a pool of water and fell to the ground. He used the water clone to change his position and appeared on the ground in the distance. He made a hand seal with both hands in front of his chest, and a powerful chakra wave burst out of his body. He shouted, Mist Hidden Technique. Thick fog filled the air instantly. It was originally just a cloudy day with thick clouds, but now it has completely turned into foggy weather, and the vision is completely blocked. Tianyu, be careful. His target is Mr. Desna. Might Guy immediately reminded Tianyu. At this time, Tianyu had already drawn the sword hanging on his waist and whispered, Don't worry, he's just in time. Catcha. The crisp sound of the sword being unsheathed sounded. The next second, the sound of clanging metal colliding and fighting could not stop. Tianyu took a step forward and blocked in front of Desna. He easily resisted several rounds of attacks from Mamachi Zabuza with just a sunwheel sword. This kid actually has such strength. After several attempts, Mamachi Zabuza's eyes were immediately attracted by Tianyu. Unexpectedly, although this kid didn't wear a ninja sword protector, his strength was quite impressive. Not only did he resist several rounds of his attacks without any damage, but even his mist ninja technique seemed to have no effect on him. Is this kid the perception ninja that he suspected before? What made Zabuza Mamachi even more curious was the black sword in his hand that blocked his beheading sword. Zabuza Mamachi asked in a deep voice, Kid, what kind of sword is that in your hand? The whole body of the katana is pitch black, even the blade is black, and it seems to be made of a special mineral. Even Zabuza Mamachi, who is proficient in swordsmanship, has never seen or heard of it. My sword is called the Sunwheel Sword. Tianyu's eyes kept rising with the urge to fight, and he said loudly, I'll let you see the true power of this sword. This Sunwheel Sword was made 4 years ago. Tianyu used this sword continuously to appreciate the swordsmanship of water breathing. The higher the rank of a weapon, the greater its effect and ability will be. However, the lethality of a weapon is not completely divided according to the rank. Although the Sunwheel Sword is only a 3-star rank weapon, the lethality it explodes is enough to be compared with a 5-star rank weapon. Tianyu also went through 4 years of constant exploration and practice before he finally understood all the sword techniques of water breathing. Water breathing, 4th type striking tide. Tianyu shouted loudly, then raised the sword in his hand, and then lightly tapped the ground with his toes, and swung it down with force towards Zabuza Mamachi, who was moving backwards. Shua. The white sword light swept the blue water, transformed into the sharpest blade, and instantly cut through the thick fog in front of him. A 3 or 4 meter long blue sword energy, with blue water splashing in it, formed a huge wave, roaring towards Zabuza Mamachi. The speed at which this sword energy spread was extremely fast, and like a tsunami, it instantly transformed into huge waves one after another, hitting the direction of Mamachi Zabuza again and again. Chapter 46, Sunblade vs. Beheading Sword. What a joke, this is also considered swordsmanship. Mamachi Zabuza's eyes twitched violently, and he roared in disbelief. He quickly raised the beheading sword in his hand and held it in front of him to resist the sword energy that was overwhelming him. The blue sword energy in the shape of water splashed on the blade of the beheading sword. 1 sword. 2 swords. 3 swords. Mamachi Zabuza's face became paler and paler. The palm of his hand holding the beheading sword had been cracked by the powerful sword energy, and blood flowed from the wound. His arms holding the beheading sword were shaking uncontrollably. The 4th slash rushed over. Mamachi Zabuza's face was finally pale and bloodless. The terrifying sword energy directly blasted Mamachi Zabuza away with his sword. Mamachi Zabuza's flying figure shattered the trunk of a large tree, and had to continue to spread several meters away before the blue sword energy finally disappeared. A straight and smooth gully connected the place where Tianyu and Mamachi Zabuza fell, and it was exactly 17 or 18 meters long. There were a total of 4 consecutive slashes, and the next slash was always more lethal than the previous one. When it came to the 4th slash, the sword energy attack range was as long as 17 or 18 meters. If you simply release the same level of ninjutsu, at least a level ninjutsu can achieve such lethality. It can be seen that the slashing power of Tianyu's water breathing, 4 type striking tide, was enough to shock Mamachi Zabuza to such an extent. Although I have seen how superb Tianyu's swordsmanship is before, every time I see it, I can't help but be shocked. After the thick fog dissipated, Might Guy naturally saw the scene where Tianyu used swordsmanship to attack Zabuza just now. He couldn't help but exclaimed, in addition to his incomparable treasure-level Nichiren sword, Tianyu's own understanding of swordsmanship has also reached a very terrifying level, which can cause such an exaggerated slash. Even the former Konoha White Fang Hatake Sakumo is no more than this, right? It's really hard to imagine that this is the result of his self-study. After blasting Mamachi Zabuza away with one move, Tianyu did not immediately pursue the victory, but took a look at the Nichiren sword in his hand. After all, the Nichiren sword is only a 3-star weapon, and he has now developed it to this level, enough to burst out a strength that even a Jonin feel terrified. Facing the beheading sword of the 7 mist ninjas who are also famous in the 5 major countries, Tianyu felt that the sword in his hand was not worth mentioning in front of him. The training of swordsmanship and the warrior's understanding of swordsmanship are certainly very important things. But a good sword of high quality can also add wings to the strength. Tianyu looked at the sunblade in his hand and couldn't help but sighed. The 3-star sunblade is already so strong, then after I get the blueprint of this Zanpakuto and make a real Zanpakuto, how strong will my strength be? Thinking of this, Tianyu's heart became more and more expectant. His eyes fell on the beheading sword in the hand of Zabuza Mamachi in the distance, and then injected chakra into the light boots under his feet. His speed suddenly doubled, waving the sunblade in his hand, and rushed towards Zabuza Mamachi again. Zabuza Mamachi panicked. He knew that his swordsmanship was no match for the 12-year-old boy in front of him. So he threw his beheading sword aside, put his hands on his chest and began to make seals quickly. At this time, Zabuza Mamachi was in a very embarrassed state. Although Zabuza Mamachi was already very strong, he was just blown away by Tengu's sword energy and crashed into a big tree. His internal injuries were not light at all. The bandage tied on the lower half of his face was wet with blood from coughing, leaving a bright red mark. However, he was worthy of the strength of an elite Jonin, and his hand seals were still very fast. Even the B-level advanced water ninjutsu, which had 20 to 30 hand seals, he only completed it in 3 or 4 seconds. When Tengu was about to reach him, he shouted, "Water style, water dragon bullet jutsu." He injected a huge chakra in his body into the surrounding water at all costs, and the originally calm water surface instantly surged with the waves. Go! The water surface around Zabuza Mamachi instantly blew up a violent tornado, and a huge water dragon took off from it, roaring towards Tengu from behind Zabuza Mamachi. Water breathing, Form 3, flowing dance. A crisp low voice sounded in the air, and a white afterimage flashed through the air, brushing past a roaring water dragon. The body moved with the sword, and the sword followed the water flow. The sharp sword energy on the sunwheel sword in Shianyu's hand instantly became soft, as if it turned into a ribbon that kept winding and circling in the air, entwining the turbulent water dragon. Tianyu took the posture of dancing with water, and swung the sword to use this sword skill, flowing dance. Cut. With a low voice from Tianyu. The water dragon behind him was instantly strangled into several pieces, and then turned into torrential rain, falling from the air one after another. After landing, a light-colored luster kept flowing on the white feathered clothes on Tianyu's body. After a few seconds, there was no trace of being wet by the rain on the clothes. Seeing the dark pupils so calm and deep, Zabuza Mamachi felt an incredible fear in his heart. What a joke, I would be afraid of a kid who doesn't even have a ninja for a protector. Zabuza Mamachi couldn't believe it. He was a mist ninja who came out of the bloody mist era of the Mist Village. How could there be someone in this world who could scare him? Maybe it was because the kid was too young, or maybe it was because the strength he showed was too amazing. He was just like a walking human-shaped tailed beast, which made people have to be afraid. As if to prove himself and deny the fear in his heart just now, Zabuza Mamachi held the beheading sword in his hand and slashed towards Tianyu again. Go to hell! Zabuza Mamachi shouted viciously with all his strength. It's useless. You are not my opponent. Tianyu raised a faint smile at the corner of his mouth, as if he had never taken Zabuza's strength seriously from the beginning. In front of my swordsmanship, everything will be eclipsed. Tianyu put the sword back into the sheath and took a sword-drawing posture. On the light boots under his feet, blue chakra flowed and continuously gathered at the bottom of his feet. Water breathing, one-type water surface slash. This is the most simple and unpretentious move in water breathing. Tianyu focused all his attention on his blade and swung this powerful move. 4 or 5 years ago, Tianyu used this move to force out Might Guy's 8 gates when fighting against Might Guy. After so many years of training, Tianyu, whether in swordsmanship or strength, has long been incomparable, and has undergone earth-shaking changes. Catcha. At a speed that is almost invisible to the naked eye, Tianyu disappeared from the spot with a blue longsword in his hand, and the next second, he appeared 5 meters behind Mamachi Zabuza. Behind him, Zabuza Mamachi froze in place for a moment, his face dull. The beheading sword he held high in his hand suddenly slipped from his palm, fell to the ground, and broke into 2 pieces. Plop. Zabuza Mamachi knelt on the ground with both knees, and a blood column more than 1 meter high suddenly burst out from the front of his chest. A half-meter-long knife mark, from his left shoulder to his right leg, almost pierced his entire body. Even his ribs had been cut off. Even Tsunade, who used the Yin seal, could not survive such a fatal injury. It's over, Zabuza. Tianyu put away the sunwheel sword in his hand, turned his back to Zabuza Mamachi, and said softly. Chapter 47 Mission completed. The guy hiding in the corner, aren't you going to come out? After dealing with Mamachi Zabuza, Tianyu looked in the direction of a jungle in the distance. There are still enemies. Desna was startled when he heard this, but he quickly calmed down. He just saw this boy named Tianyu kill such a powerful ninja, which was enough to show how powerful he was. Thinking of his contempt for this boy when he first met him, Desna couldn't help but feel a little scared. Fortunately, he didn't really anger this boy at that time, otherwise he might not even know how he died. Hey, is there really someone? After Tianyu's reminder, the more nervous Might Guy immediately noticed the existence of another breath. Whoosh! A figure appeared in front of them in an instant. That was a beautiful boy with a face more gentle than a woman. With a gentle and warm apology on his face, he pleaded with Tianyu very respectfully, let's give up this mission, sir. Please allow me to take away the body of Master Zabuza. I am willing to agree to any of your conditions. Tianyu glanced at Bai's face, which was more beautiful than a woman, and nodded, you can take his body, but the beheading sword must be left behind. The expression on the face of the beautiful boy hesitated for a second, then nodded and thanked very politely, thank you, sir. Then he walked towards Tianyu. His eyes were very calm, without any ripples, as if he was not afraid at all that Tianyu, as an enemy, would go back on his word. In those black pupils, Tianyu seemed to be able to see a trace of death. He didn't seem to have the idea of avenging Uzumamachi, or did he dare not take action after seeing Tianyu's strength? Or was he kind-hearted and unwilling to kill again after giving up this mission? Or is it that Uzumamachi holds an extremely important position in his heart, and he would not let Mr. Zabuza's body be exposed in the wilderness at all costs? Tianyu didn't care about this at all. Tianyu didn't sense any murderous intent from Bai, so he agreed to let him take away Uzumamachi's body. Just when Bai passed by him, Tianyu whispered a few words beside Bai. Bai hesitated for a few seconds, then lowered his head and nodded softly to Tianyu. "Yes, Lord Tianyu." Then Bai walked behind Tianyu, picked up Uzumamachi's body, and disappeared on the spot. Tianyu picked up the beheading sword left on the ground and chose to submit the task. Congratulations to the host for completing the task. Task reward, Zenpakudo, Daiguren Hai or Inmaru Blueprint. After hearing the voice from the system, Tianyu was very satisfied, and when he obtained the information on the blueprint of the Great Red Lotus Hai or Inmaru, a slight shock appeared in his eyes. It turned out to be a 6-star blueprint. Tianyu couldn't help but sigh in his heart. The Great Red Lotus Hai or Inmaru is worthy of being the strongest Zanpakudo of the ice system. He was sure that after this Zanpakudo was made, it would definitely become a divine weapon that could shock the whole world. Moreover, this was the first 6-star blueprint Tianyu had obtained. In the previous 4 years, although he had also completed a lot of tasks issued by the system, the highest level blueprint he obtained was only 5-star. After these 4 years, his system interface has undergone a very big change. Host, Tianyu, age 12 years old, forging level, intermediate, unlocked weapons, 6-star weapon, Zenpakudo, Great Red Lotus Hai or Inmaru, 5-star weapons, intermediate storage ring, White Mist Sword, 10 Needles of Skyfire. 4-star weapons, Mechanical Bird, 3 Magadama Eyes, 9 Dragon Pearl Crown, 8 Treasures Night Light Helmet. 3-star weapons, Sunwheel Sword. 2-star weapon, Tianyu. 1-star weapon. After checking the system panel, Tianyu temporarily put away the system panel. As a 6-star grades Zanpakudo, the materials required for forging are also very complex, up to hundreds of kinds. Although Tianyu's ring has collected a lot of special materials and minerals in the past few years, it is not enough to fully meet the hundreds of forging materials for Zanpakudo. Among them, there are several special minerals that must be obtained in the territory of the Land of Fire. So he can only start forging this Zanpakudo after all the materials are complete. Tianyu, your strength has become stronger again. Might Guy walked to Tianyu's side, patted his shoulder, and said excitedly, "Sure enough, all the efforts will be rewarded. I have witnessed all your efforts and training along the way, and I have also witnessed your rapid growth in strength. This is the exciting youth." "Haha, sorry, Mr. Kai, I robbed your opponent." Tianyu laughed. "It's okay." Might Guy waved his fists several times, looking like he wanted to show off his skills, and said, "We haven't started our mission yet. Didn't Desna say that there's a bad guy named Cardo in the Land of Waves? I'll just wait until I get to the Land of Waves and beat that guy to pulp. How about Cardo?" Tianyu couldn't help but smile. "I'm afraid that what will happen next will greatly disappoint Teacher Kai." After a brief setback, Tianyu, Might Guy and Desna set foot on the road to Desna's house again. In less than 2 hours, they arrived at their destination. After accepting the warm hospitality of Desna's family, Might Guy was about to show his skills to deal with a bad guy named Cardo. An exciting news made Desna's family and even the people of the entire Wave Country excited. Cardo is dead. The bad guy who controls the Wave Country and does all kinds of evil was killed silently in his office by a member of a mysterious organization. After learning the news, Desna couldn't believe it for a while, until his daughter and his colleagues who built a bridge with him ran to tell him the good news. He finally believed it. Without saying a word, Desna followed those architect colleagues out of the house. I don't know whether it is to deal with the political aftermath of the Wave Country, or to seize the time to build a bridge. After hearing the news, Might Guy had a very disappointed expression, and he felt extremely bored like a deflated ball. Then, extremely bored, Might Guy finally sensed something wrong with his beast-like intuition. He stared at Tianyu's eyes and exclaimed, "Oh my god, apprentice, You are not the one behind this, are you? Tianyu put on an innocent look and blinked. Teacher Kai, if you don't have evidence, you can't slander me like this. Besides, now that guy Cardo is dead, there is no danger in the Wave Country, so our mission is basically over, right? Oh, wait until Mr. Dazna comes back and tell him that we can leave tomorrow, even if the mission is completed. Might Guy scratched his head and said to Tianyu. No, he was deliberately changing the subject. Might Guy suddenly reacted, and then his suspicion of Tianyu became even stronger. Although there was no evidence, he just felt that Cardo's death must be related to his apprentice. Tianyu, are you really with Cardo? Just when Might Guy wanted to ask something else, Tianyu suddenly interrupted him. Teacher Kai, you didn't forget that my graduation exam is the day after tomorrow. Ah. Graduation exam, is it the day after tomorrow? Might Guy was stunned. Obviously he had completely forgotten about such a thing. Sure enough, I guessed it would be like this. Tianyu's head was full of black lines, and he couldn't help but hold his forehead inside. We have to return to Konoha before the day after tomorrow. If we can't complete this task in time, I will miss my graduation exam and be held back. Oh, Might Guy had a guilty look on his face. Then he straightened his chest, patted his chest with his hand and assured Tianyu, we will set off immediately after handing over the task to Mr. Dazna. Don't worry, Tianyu, we will definitely make it back. Chapter 48 Return. In the classroom of the ninja school in Konoha village, a group of 11-12-year-old boys and girls gathered in groups of 3 or 5. They all had an uncontrollable excitement on their faces, because today was the day of their graduation exam. After graduation today, we will all be ninjas. We have practiced the 3 body techniques for a long time, and there will be no problem with this graduation exam. Finally, I will graduate. My dream is to become a Hokage. A little boy with a big runny nose shouted loudly. Ho ha ho ha. A burst of laughter suddenly came from the classroom. At this time, a Chunin teacher wearing a Konoha Ford protector and a green vest walked in. The classroom suddenly became quiet. Looking at the expectant faces, the Chunin teacher felt very relieved. Students, after 6 years of study in the ninja school, it is finally time for you to graduate. Today, you will have your graduation examination. Please line up in an orderly manner and go to the designated classrooms to take the examination in turn. After the Chunin teacher finished speaking, the students in the classroom began to line up in a long queue and walked out of the classroom in turn. Rock Lee was also ready to get up and line up, but at this time, he saw Tenten still sitting in his seat with a very depressed expression on his face. Tiantian, are you worried about Tianyu because he hasn't come back yet? Tiantian nodded, with a bit of worry between his eyebrows, and his face puffed up like an angry bun, and he said angrily, oh, this bad brother. I told him in the previous communication that today is the day of the graduation examination, and asked him to come back early. But until now, I haven't seen him at all. Although I said I was angry, my face was full of worry about Tianyu. Rock Lee said with a smile, with Tianyu's strength, there must be no trouble that can't be solved. But I'm afraid he will be late and miss today's graduation examination. If he doesn't take the graduation examination, he can't graduate. Wouldn't he have to repeat another year in school? Tiantian said with a worried face. At this time, a voice sounded beside the two of them. He will definitely come back. Hyuga Niji said with great confidence. Tiantian and Rock Lee were both stunned for a moment. They didn't expect that Hyuga Niji would trust Tianyu so much. After their previous outdoor barbecue, Tenten and Rock Lee became more familiar with Niji because of the connection with Tianyu. Although this guy always has a cold face and often speaks in a way that makes people feel a little annoying, he is still a kind-hearted guy. After getting along here, they can be regarded as friends. Ningxi, how do you know? Rock Lee just asked. Hyuga Niji looked very determined, with a confident look, and said loudly, that guy is a man I regard as an opponent. I believe he will never let me down. Today's graduation exam, I also believe that he will come. After hearing what Hyuga Niji said, Tenten's expression also eased a lot. He remembered what his brother said to him before leaving. He promised himself that he would definitely come back before the graduation exam, so he should believe him. Let's go, let's take the exam too. Tenten said to Rock Lee and Niji. In the ninja school, the graduation exam is proceeding in an orderly manner. The content of this graduation exam is the clone technique among the basic 3 body techniques. Most of the students in the class were able to pass the test, But a small number of people did not have the talent to become ninjas and failed the graduation exam. For students like Tiantian, Rock Lee, and Hyuga Niji who usually had good grades, the clone technique was of course a very simple thing. The three of them passed the test one after another. However, they still did not see Tianyu. Time passed by, and the number of students queuing for the test became fewer and fewer, until the last student in the line entered the test classroom. It was already evening, and the afterglow of the setting sun shone into the corridor of the classroom, lengthening the shadows of people. Tiantian and the other three, who had passed the test early, stood in the corridor and did not leave, without any joy on their faces. Because Tianyu had not appeared yet. Tiantian, Rock Lee, and Hyuga Niji all looked very solemn, standing in the corridor in silence. "Brother, can he really not come today?" Tiantian said unwillingly. "Who did you say can't come?" A very abrupt voice sounded in the corridor. Then, a fierce hurricane suddenly rose in the narrow corridor, blowing Tiantian, Zio Li and Ningxi so hard that they couldn't help but put their hands in front of their faces. After the hurricane disappeared, a man with thick eyebrows wearing a green sportswear and a watermelon-like head, and a handsome and beautiful boy in white clothes standing next to him, appeared in front of them. "Brother, brother." After a short moment of stunnedness, Tiantian finally reacted. Her brother, Tianyu, he finally came back. Tiantian suddenly threw herself into Tianyu's arms, with some crystal tears in the corners of her eyes, silently telling her longing for him for so long, and also the joy of their reunion after a long separation. After not seeing each other for 4 years, he has become taller and more handsome. "Brother, why did you come back just now?" Tiantian said coquettishly with a hint of blame. Tianyu spread his hands and said innocently, "Ahem, you have to ask Mr. Kai about this. If I hadn't mentioned the graduation exam, he would still be outside carrying out his mission leisurely." Well. Might Guy immediately scratched his head awkwardly and changed the subject. "Anyway, we still got back in time. Now time is tight, let Tianyu go in to take the graduation exam first." Tiantian reluctantly let go of his brother. Although he couldn't hug him enough, Tiantian also knew that Tianyu's graduation exam was more important. Just at this time, the last candidate before also finished the exam and came out. "Okay, then I'll go in to take the exam," Tianyu said to everyone with a smile, and then he set his eyes on Rock Lee and Niji, and said with a smile, "Don't be in a hurry to leave, you two, wait until the exam is over, let's go to eat barbecue together, Mr. Kai will treat us." Hyuga Niji and Rock Lee both nodded. Might Guy held his head in his hands and wailed, "Oh my god. Why am I the one who's paying again?" Tianyu looked straight at Might Guy and chuckled, "Teacher Guy, as a jonin, do you want us kids who aren't even ninjas to pay? It will be a joke if it gets out, Might Guy. Disciple, don't you feel guilty when you say this? If it comes to wealth, I'm afraid 10 of me wouldn't be your opponent, right? The commissions I earned from working hard for several months are not as much as the money you spent on a piece of ore you bought casually. You're so rich, but you still want to trick me in such a thing as treating me to a meal. Why do I feel like it's been arranged so clearly?" For the first time, Might Guy felt that having a too smart disciple also has its disadvantages, because even a master like himself would be cheated if he wasn't careful. "Okay, I'll treat you today." Might Guy is also a very generous person, and he doesn't really care about the money for this barbecue. Tianyu entered the examination room, and then he passed the examination easily. After the examination, the 5 of them went to a barbecue restaurant together. Might Guy treated them all and they all had a big meal. Even Tianyu couldn't help but sigh. In the past few years, he and Teacher Guy have traveled to many places one after another. But when it comes to food, the barbecue and ramen in the village are indeed the best. The god of the Naruto food world forever. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49, Nino and Cosmos. After Tianyu passed the graduation test of the ninja school, he got his own Ford protector with a Konoha logo. The 5 of them walked towards the barbecue restaurant according to the previous agreement. Walking on the streets of Konoha, Tianyu, who had been away from Konoha for 4 years, was filled with emotion. He returned to this familiar place again. Tianyu couldn't help but sigh in his heart. No wonder other big countries always covet the land of the fire country. In terms of weather conditions, crop planting conditions, etc., it turns out that only the fire country is the most abundant and the most suitable environment for human survival. After 4 years of experience, Tianyu's understanding of the world has become much more mature. Tianyu, who is already 12 years old, has gradually lost the childishness on his face, but what remains unchanged is his exquisite and perfect facial features. Sword eyebrows are raised, narrow and deep eyes, high nose bridge, black pupils, firm jaw angles draw perfect arc, and long black hair is tied high on the top of the head. He was wearing a feathered robe with white arc patterns, a pair of silver white boots on his feet, and a white jade crown on his head. He was elegant and graceful, and his every move exuded a charming aura like an aristocrat. At this time, Tianyu was walking on the street of Konoha with Might Guy, Tiantian, Rock Lee, and Hyuga Niji, heading towards the barbecue restaurant. What he didn't know was that his appearance had caused a huge wave in Konoha village. Along the way, there were young girls who kept looking at Tianyu. Wow! That boy is so handsome. Oh my god, where did this handsome boy come from? He's so handsome, isn't he? Look, isn't the person next to him Niji, the young master of the Hyuga clan? I didn't expect that he would be eclipsed by that handsome boy. Continuous discussions and screams came from time to time, and Tianyu also smiled and greeted all the villagers he knew and hadn't seen for a long time. Yamanaka Aino, who was helping to take care of the flowers in her flower shop, suddenly heard the voices of people talking outside. Then she looked up and saw a beautiful profile on the road in the distance. Wow, what a good-looking little brother, he is my type. Yamanaka Aino's eyes lit up all of a sudden, and she held her chin with both hands and looked like a fangirl. Her exclamation made Shikamaru and Shaji, who were helping in her flower shop, look over. Shikamaru said speechlessly, "Why, weren't you very interested in Sasuke before? How can Sasuke compare to him? If I can be with this little brother, Sasuke will be given to Iruno Sakura, who has a wide forehead." Aino said with her hands on her hips and a nonchalant look on her face. Well, it's really troublesome. Shikamaru had a speechless expression on his face and yawned boredly. No, I can't miss the opportunity to meet a handsome guy like this. Aino's eyes rolled around, then she picked up a basket of flowers and ran out. What did she do when she went out? Chaji asked, looking confused as he bit the potato chips in his hand. Shikamaru shook his head speechlessly. What else could she do? She must have been trying to flirt with someone. Handsome guy, would you like a bouquet of flowers? Today our flower shop has a promotion. We can give you a bouquet of your favorite flowers for free. Yamanaka Aino's light golden hair fluttered in the wind, and her face showed a smile as beautiful and bright as a flower. Then let's have this bouquet, Tianyu said. Yamanaka Aino was stunned for a moment. The bouquet of flowers he picked happened to be Cosmos? His favorite flower was Cosmos. Was this a coincidence? Is it not possible? Tianyu asked with a smile. At this time, Yamanaka Aino reacted from her daze, and she quickly said, yes, of course. She quickly handed the bouquet of white cosmos to Tianyu. Why did you choose this bouquet? Yamanaka Aino couldn't help asking. Tianyu smiled and said, because I think this flower is very beautiful and has a good meaning. The flower language of the cosmos, the true heart of a girl. Yamanaka Aino's face flushed slightly. It seems. I feel that I was accidentally flirted with. Does your family run a flower shop? Tianyu asked, can I order flowers from your house and have them delivered to my home every week? Of course. Yamanaka Aino said excitedly. She couldn't help but get excited. If this handsome boy ordered flowers, doesn't it mean that she can get his home address? And there will be a chance to meet this handsome boy again later. Oh yeah. Such an opportunity is really great. This is my home address. I hope to see the flowers you send every week. Thank you, Miss Aino. Tianyu handed the note with his home address to Yamanaka Aino. Every move he made was as elegant and noble as a gentleman. Okay. Yamanaka Aino quickly held the note tightly, as if she had found a treasure. Until Tianyu and the others had gone far away, Yamanaka Aino, who was standing there with a silly smile, suddenly realized something. Wait a minute, that handsome boy, he actually knew my name? Tianyu returned to Konoha and took the ninja school graduation exam, and successfully passed it and got the Konoha for a protector. Everyone in Tianyu's family was very happy about these things. Especially Tianyu and Tiantian's parents, they were simply overjoyed and overjoyed. Even every ninja who came to the family's weapon shop to buy ninja tools, Tiantian couldn't help but tell them that his son and daughter had now become a ninja, and how excellent they were. He was so excited when talking, and he couldn't stop showing his pride. Tianyu and Tiantian were both deeply helpless about this. It was not easy for their parents to be so happy, so they didn't want to let them down, so they just let them go. Naruto and Hinata naturally soon learned about Tianyu's return to Konoha. The next morning, Naruto even skipped classes and went to Tianyu's house to find him excitedly. Brother Tianyu. Brother Tianyu. I heard you're back, right? Naruto shouted into the house. Naruto, you're really full of energy so early in the morning. Tianyu walked out of the room, still a little sleepy. He hadn't had such a good sleep in the past few years of training outside. Sure enough, the bed at home is the most comfortable. Brother Tianyu, tell me quickly, what have you encountered in the past few years of training outside? Naruto asked excitedly. Have you seen people with 6 hands? Or people with 4 legs and 2 heads? Do those monsters eat people? Tianyu. What are these and what are they? Naruto, have you read too many comic books? But he has really seen people with 6 hands, 4 legs, and 2 heads. Do you want to hear stories about my training? Tianyu asked Naruto with a sidelong look and a bit of smile. Yet, Naruto nodded very decisively. He looked like a good and obedient puppy in front of Tianyu. If Iruka, who was having a headache because of him at the moment, saw his obedient appearance, he would be so shocked that he couldn't even close his jaw. Let me tell you a story. It's not impossible. I have seen the monsters you just mentioned when I was training outside. I have a lot of stories in my stomach. Tianyu deliberately whetted Naruto's appetite. Brother Tianyu, tell me quickly. Naruto said with an anxious expression. You can listen to the story, but I have a request. What request? Follow my request and practice well. Tianyu said very seriously. Practice? Naruto was stunned. He never expected that Brother Tianyu would ask him such a request as soon as he came back. But practice is too difficult. I still can't learn the clone technique. I can teach you, but the premise of my teaching you is that you are serious enough about practice, and don't choose to give up because of a little setback. Tianyu patted Naruto's shoulder and said to him earnestly like an elder brother, Naruto, although you have a friend like me around you now, I believe that deep down in your heart, you also want to change the views of other villagers about you and gain recognition from others, don't you? Chapter 50 Guiding Naruto. Arrived at an empty training ground in Konoha. A powerful ninjutsu? Brother Tianyu, what ninjutsu are you going to teach me? Is it more powerful than the 3-body technique? Naruto asked curiously. Of course, the 3-body technique is just the most basic ninjutsu, and it's just the basic course of the ninja school. Tianyu explained with a smile. The ninjutsu I'm going to teach you today is an advanced version of the clone technique, called the shadow clone technique. The shadow clone technique. Naruto opened his mouth so wide that it seemed like an egg could be stuffed in it. He exclaimed, but I think the 3-body technique is already very difficult. I haven't learned the most difficult clone technique yet. The shadow clone technique and the like. I can't learn it even more. Naruto scratched his head, looking embarrassed, and had no confidence in learning the next ninjutsu. What are you afraid of? I'm here, don't worry, you will definitely learn it. Tianyu smiled and comforted him. The method I teach you is completely different from the method of the teacher in the ninja school. Tianyu took out a kunai, then injected his own chakra, and threw it forward. With a bang, white smoke rose, and 3 shadow clones immediately appeared in front of them. Look, this is how to use my shadow clone kunai. Tianyu handed the shadow clone in his hand to Naruto and said, come on, inject your chakra into the kunai and do it according to the method I just used. Bang! After a burst of white smoke, 3 shadow clones of Naruto also appeared in the same place. Is this the ninjutsu I released? I have learned this ninjutsu. Naruto asked in surprise and disbelief. His face was full of excitement and he almost jumped up from the ground. Yet, I can also release my shadow clone. How can it be that easy? Tianyu was immediately amused by Naruto's excited look. He didn't have the heart to hit his confidence, but had to tell him the fact. Naruto, You just used my kunai to release this ninjutsu. Your ninjutsu learning has not officially started yet. Huh? Is that so? Naruto scratched his head in confusion, then smiled foolishly. It turns out that it is because of your kunai, brother Tianyu, that has such an effect. It is really a magical kunai. My family is in the ninja tool business, and I am also interested in making ninja tools. The kunai in your hand is the result of my research. Tianyu said with a smile. If you have a serious attitude towards learning, I can consider giving this kunai to you. Really, really. Naruto immediately became excited. He loved this unique kunai to death in his heart. Brother Tianyu, please teach me quickly. I will definitely study hard. Okay. Tianyu nodded. The method of learning is also very simple. You have just used this kunai, and you should have experienced what it feels like to use the shadow clone. Naruto listened very carefully and nodded. Tianyu continued, well, next, I will teach you the seal method. Tianyu followed Might Guy to practice outside for 4 years. In addition to basic physical skills, Might Guy also taught Tianyu some ninjutsu and physical skills he knew. Of course, Tianyu also learned ninjutsu like Shadow Clone. When using the Shadow Clone transformed by the Shadow Clone kunai, Tianyu had a lot of experience in the use of Shadow Clones. When he followed Might Guy to formally learn the B-level ninjutsu of Shadow Clone, Tianyu could achieve twice the result with half the effort, whether it was the speed of learning or the use of this ninjutsu. The learning speed was amazing, even Might Guy was surprised. At this time, Tianyu taught Naruto the method of learning ninjutsu that he had developed. Using his method to learn ninjutsu, even Naruto, who felt a headache when learning ninjutsu, quickly found the trick to practice the Shadow Clone technique. Brother, you are here. In the distance, a girl's silver bell-like laughter suddenly came. Tianyu and Naruto looked up at the same time, and then saw Tiantian and Hinata holding hands and running from a distance. Brother, you will never guess. Hinata just ran to ask me if you are back after school. Tiantian came to Tianyu's side and whispered in his ear, brother, do you think Hinata is impressed by your charm and likes you? Tiantian's voice was not small, and Hinata next to him also heard this, and her face immediately blushed, and it didn't stop until it blushed to the roots of her ears. Tiantian, I'm not, I'm just worried about Tianyu-kun. Hinata whispered softly, her voice as thin as a mosquito. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.